Welcome to Doug, episode 18, featuring Mega, Max, and Stick. So, we have got a couple of guests this week. You might know them. Back again, Xbox ambassador guru and popular YouTuber, Scratch. Also coming down under, we have a much-loved podcast kingpin, known for his rants so convincing. He could sell hair products to Patrick Stewart. He could sell PSN to NASA Control. We welcome Mooch, and also me Dougie. So grab a coffee, or crack a stubby and enjoy.
Okay, thanks for that, Dougie. Nice intro, man.
Good work.
You could sell hair products. You could sell hair products to Patrick Stewart, Mooch.
That got me going. I'm not going to lie to you. PSN to NASA is even better because of its reliability. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, you'd like that one, yeah.
Oh, man, Dougie's a funny guy. What can we say?
Very cool, man. Very cool.
Shout out to
Good
the
to have you on,
chat.
Mooch.
We've got a few people in there. We've got Newf, Siberia, Sonshu. What's going on?
Yeah, a few regulars in there.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And
It's always good to shoot the breeze and let the crowd shuffle in. Absolutely.
Nah, that's it. Well, thanks for getting up so early too, Newf. Mooch.
Right.
Right,
Noof's
Noof's not
one of
here,
all
is
of our biggest supporters, so shout out to Noof as well.
Yep, champion.
He likes to drop those nukes as well online. I don't know. He was on our podcast. He was on our podcast a few weeks back, and he literally dropped a nuke live on air. It was quite funny, actually.
I'd like to know how many people in Australia, when he dropped that nuke, how many people were scratching their heads and like, we say some really wild things in Australia, but Noof tops it with his no chills attitude.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
great.
There was one episode he came on and he just took over the show. He was just like nailing it, it was good. So we'll just sit back, we're having a coffee and just listening.
Letting him do his thing.
That's right. Yeah. Well, he's got that radio background, hasn't he? So he's pretty well spoken.
He's got the radio background. He's got the voice. He's got it all going on. Noof is meant for podcasting, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
He definitely
Definitely.
is.
And Scratch is running a little bit late. He had to go somewhere. He's going to pop in later. So shout out to Scratch. He said he would be listening on his phone or whatever. So, yeah, he's going to come in later. So he will be
Very
here.
cool.
He assures me.
Cool. Scratch is a good guy. Looking forward to him again. He was only on here last week, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, it was last week. And he was like, hey, guys, just letting you know, I'm going to be on Doug tonight. I'm like, okay, no worries.
I thought it was great. Right as soon as we finished CrossFire, shameless plug there, but as soon as we finished that, he says to me, he goes, Mooch, I hear you're going on Doug. I said, yeah. He goes, you know what? I'll see you there. It was great. I was like, what airline are you taking? Maybe we can get the same. No, it was it was really great. He's a hell of a guy, and like I say, he does so many things. He was running a little late for CrossFire, but just to have him on for an hour, half hour, 45 minutes, the guy's got so much knowledge. And like I said, you hate to say he's on the in crowd. He's put his time in. He deserves every moment with those folks. But he knows the intricate workings of what's happening in the Xbox Alpha preview programs. He knows what's coming down the pipe. He knows some of the things that we're using right now that may not make the final cut. So his information is priceless as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Crossfire too, man. I'm glad to see that podcast is back.
Thank you.
Good podcast.
Yes.
Oh, man, it was a stellar lineup today, man. Like, fuck. I was trying to
I
listen.
appreciate
I was juggling
it.
a couple of kids, but I was trying to listen.
The funny part about it, I say this to all podcasters all the time. I did 2.5 years, just took a few months off, and you come back and it still feels like day one. You still get those, I got to get people on there. I always feel like you got to put a good show on, so I'm always, and I know you guys do the same. It's just, you get to a point where you're like, I got to make sure I got the right guests. I got to have the lineup. I got to have stuff to talk about. And so no matter how much you've been doing it in your past, when you go back after a short break, it's like the first day all over again. So I want to thank you for the compliment. And yes, Crossfire is back. Fridays at 7, which is great because Fridays at 7 for you guys, it's Saturday at something or another, probably 9 a.m. or something. Oh, is it? Okay. And it's just good to be back and get the ball rolling again. So I appreciate the invite here today too.
Well, anyone who doesn't know Mooch, he's obviously a podcaster. He's on a few podcasts. M&C Mornings. Big Game of Small Talk,
Mhm.
CrossFire, and all the links are below. So yeah, click on his links,
Very nice.
sub his
Thank you.
channel. We're trying to get him to 5,000 subs.
Did you hear me? I've been at 4,900 for about a year and a half. Apparently, the Mooch Maniacs top out at 5,000. We all self-destruct.
Yeah. Surely there's 50 more or something, or 100 more that can sub tonight.
It'd be great if I can get some Australian support. Thank you.
I think we got like about
Yes.
50% Australian audience on our podcast. When you look at the analytics and that, so you should get a few new subs, man. So
Do you guys find Australia to be predominantly Xbox driven, or has it become Sony invaded?
It's PlayStation mostly.
A lot
Okay.
of casuals, the casual box, the
Yeah.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
It's still pretty big though, the Xbox.
But Australia was very big in the 360 era, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They didn't make
Yeah,
that
it
all.
was. Yeah,
It was.
I think it swung around to about
The
60-40.
Do you reckon
Yeah.
the Red Ring of Death, man, had a bit of an influence on Australian people? Because we don't like drama.
It didn't with me because I bought like 4 of them.
Yeah, I know.
No, it didn't
And
with
I had
me.
2 red rings.
I had 2. I used to wrap it in the towel, man.
Yeah, same.
Boot it back up, overheat it, and it would,
There's so many things about Xbox that kind of kept me, and I want to know if you guys feel the same way. Do you guys feel like? I mean, see, for me, it was the controller, it's the games,
Yeah.
it's the online,
Yeah.
and certain people will like to
Online.
argue with you, and they'll go, "Well, I like the games on PlayStation." I said, "That's fine." I said, I can't tell you what to like or not like. Same thing goes for your food. I can't tell you what game to like, but when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, when you're talking about a controller, you're talking about the way that the service works. And you do happen to like at least 50 to 60% of their games. Isn't that where you'd rather be? I mean, the controller has been in multiple, what do they call it there, polls. And 60 to 70% of gamers always say they prefer the Xbox controller over, whether it be the 360 or the One, over the DualShock 3 or 4. I just, that's kind of like when you get into a car. Have you ever test driven a car and you're like, this car doesn't feel right when I hit the road? You don't buy it usually.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, actually.
Exactly,
because
man.
I've spoken to a few Call of Duty pros and stuff on Twitter, and their biggest gripe, and only because they're forced to play it because of the marketing rights, is the PlayStation controller they do not like. They can't wait for it to come back to Xbox. And the number one reason is because of the controller. So
It's the stick placements for me.
It's so gimmicky too with the touchpad and all that.
Yeah, and they're forced to play it because obviously with the marketing rights, they get sent PS4s. They have to play on that controller, and then a lot of them are finding it hard to adjust to it because the way it's not as strong, it's not as good. Yeah, and I don't know.
It's so, man.
You're definitely right there.
Even the 360 controller, I love that, man. It was so big, like it was grouse. So I love that controller.
Maybe that's the other thing is, I mean,
he says
that the controller's big. I think that you have predominantly 18 to 40-year-old guys playing Xbox. I mean, you have bigger hands. You want a controller that fits the scheme of your hand. And the DualShock 4, even though, yes, they made it more robust, it still feels like a toy. It feels like you could crack it in half. I don't know. That's just some reason it doesn't seem right.
That's why I think the PlayStation's so popular here, because it's a toy. Like, shout out to our PlayStation listeners, but it seems like, if I sent my mum and dad down to get a console, they would come back with a PlayStation.
Right.
Like it's just the name. It's a PlayStation. That's what it is. It's like, it's such, and where the Xbox to me is a lot more of a hardcore gamer's sort of choice.
I agree.
Multiplayer gamer. So we all know that, but I just even the controller, man, like it just feels like a bit of
it's comfortable.
Yeah, well, the PlayStation controller, like it just seems like something you get at play school, like I don't know.
It does, and I mean, if you don't believe me, now the DualShock 4 comes with a really nice bright light on the front. It's like made by Mattel. I don't know. It's just
Are they
the
still
whole thing is.
It just drains the battery.
We don't have a lot of PlayStation listeners anyway.
I was going to say, does it still run? Like, does it still die after like 3, 4, 5 hours or something?
Man,
it absolutely does.
For me. Yeah. Deal breaker.
Which is not having a shot at their games, but it's quite handy because a lot of their games actually last around about that time, from what I've heard, that 4 or 5 hour mark. They're single players and stuff. So,
well, the closest I've come to buying another console was Zelda. Because there's just no game that's been on PlayStation that's like, I got to get a PlayStation for that game. It just since Destruction Derby on the PlayStation 1 was the last PlayStation game I thought I've got to go out and buy a PlayStation just to get a Destruction Derby, like, and it's the same with now, like the single player game, Horizon Zero Dawn looks okay, but 10 hours later I'm bored of it.
Yeah.
And Zelda, like just seeing people like Xbox 448 really enjoying that game, and I think maybe I should get one for the kids, but that's the closest I've come to buying another console. All three of us only have Xboxes.
Well, the thing about it, Stick, I'll tell you, the thing about the Switch and Zelda, and the reason that you see so many people maybe not so big on it, but then once they get it, they're so into it, is the Switch is, like I say, I don't know if you guys remember the old 70s and 80s commercial about 7-Up was the Uncola. 7-Up could never beat Pepsi and Coke, right? So they're still soda, but they couldn't like run with the big boys. And Nintendo's not trying to say that, hey, we're going to run with the PlayStation and Xbox guys. We understand you guys are doing the power race. We're the unconsole. We're the console you can take off of the dock, take it with you, have somewhat PS4 vanilla, Xbox One original graphics, and we're going to give you probably the best first-party lineup you'll ever have. I picked up a Switch. The kids love Mario Kart 8. I mean, we play that all the time as a family. People just passing the controller and the steering wheels around, having a good time with that. And then Zelda's good. The Mario game's going to be great. Listen, nobody on earth that plays games is going to sit there and make fun of Mario. You may not boast it. You may not promote it, but you're not going to make fun of it because if someone handed you a controller when a new Mario comes out, you're like, let me try this bad boy because it brings you back to your childhood. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. It's a fact.
It is, yes.
And Nintendo's whole business model is that quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're lucky. They're very lucky, man. The IP, the developers and that they had in the early days that made those games. They're just still riding those waves. Those guys, a lot of credit to those guys.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're pretty much the original guys that made it big. So, like Mooch says, nostalgia is that drug, and they'll just keep trucking. They'll just keep going forever and ever. They're not going to die.
Yeah, the well doesn't dry up. You know what I mean, Mega? It's
and the games are quality
coming back. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like you never really see a bad Mario, bad Zelda, bad Mario Kart game.
I'm only about 5 hours into Zelda, and I'll tell you this much: the only complaint I have is the world is beautiful, but the world is quite empty.
Yeah.
And I know now I've been told because this game can get very close to 40, 50 hours to complete. Okay. I've been told when you get up into the 25, 30 hour, things change a little, but very similar to what Recore. Okay. You guys remember Recore very well. Recore had a very empty, bland desert landscape. And then once you got into the tombs, or not the tombs, but the caves, that was when you saw the game truly shine in a little bit more of the art design, and there was more going on. And Zelda, I feel, is the same way. When you go to and I haven't played it in a while, so my terminology is off, but whatever it is that you go to get that keeps on giving you powers, those tombs, same thing, very similar. Those are very well done puzzles and enemy layout. But once you leave, you find yourself climbing this massive mountain and then just paragliding over acres and acres of grass. So that's my and I can't remember if it was Mega or Stick who said this, but when you guys were making a reference to Horizon Zero Dawn, it's a beautiful game. It is, and it's populated with amazing artwork. Amazing artwork. You can see that Guerrilla Games took a page from Naughty Dog. Okay, but the problem is I'm only about 6 hours in. I'm bored of Horizon. Like, I don't feel like doing another 87 fetch quests to get a very little payback at the end for handing in these fetch quests. So Zelda's going to get me to finish because of nostalgia. I don't have nostalgia for Horizon, okay? It's as new as they come. It came out in February. So I find that these open world games are losing us a bit. And that's why last night on CrossFire, and today we'll get into it if you guys are talking games, I want to hear what you guys think about Prey.
Yeah, okay, Prey is a bit of a... I downloaded the demo, and I knew you were probably going to talk about that because I was watching today, but I actually haven't started the demo, man. I've only just sort of listened to what people have said. So
have you guys gotten a chance to play it? No, that's all right. Exposed.
I went through most of the demo, but I haven't picked up the actual full game yet. So, but I'm hearing a lot.
Mega has, reports. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of mixed reports. I mean, I know Jez thinks it's really good, and is it Rand as well? He's the one that's saying it's really good as well, or is he saying it's not as good as what Jez is saying?
Well, Jez has got it up right now. There's the
Jez
cup of
loves it.
Christ, and then there's pray. So
Maybe not in that order.
right, exactly. I'm not sure of the order these days. So I think it's very good. I would never go as far as to say it's. I mean, BioShock is a classic, and it's a classic in more ways than one.
Yeah.
If anyone got a chance to play the BioShock collection, you'd see the reels that you collect. You get real interviews with Jeff Keighley interviewing Ken Levine, or it could be Ken Levine, depending on how you want to say his last name or pronunciate it. But the man is a genius, and how he tells you how he stumbled upon things is just fascinating. But yeah, this game here, I'm only about 4 hours in. The demo is the worst thing that could have happened to it. Okay, so Mega, if you don't like it after the demo, I'm going to say something that might just put you into a tizzy. You may still love this game, even if you leave the demo hating it. It's got a lot of great powers, very similar to the plasmids. You get these neuromods. The weapon system, the fighting mechanics are similar to BioShock. There's more combat in BioShock than there is in this game so far. But then they put the twist on where you can morph into things, and I think there's more puzzles, of course, in Prey. But the demo was its worst enemy. It was its worst enemy.
Yeah, it's one of those cases where a demo did more harm than good, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've read it's got a bit of like Deus Ex in it, or System Shock 2 for those that have played it.
You know, I'll tell you something.
It's kind of old now, but yeah.
But I'm glad you brought that up, Max, because here's my thing. I avoided Deus Ex like the plague. Not for any reason. Never even played it. It just looked like it wasn't for me. And now people are telling me, Mooch, if you're enjoying Prey, Deus Ex may be your calling card. When I'm done with Prey, I mean, you can get Deus Ex right now for like 15 cents and a Big Mac. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. You know, I mean, why not? It's like $10. Because if it's got some of the characters that Prey has, I'm willing to try it out.
I still got it in the backlog, but I've played the other ones. It's a great series, Deus Ex. There's so much freedom in the way you can play.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that's what I think.
The way you want to go about playing.
I think that's what scares people, don't you, Max? Don't you think that's what scares? I think a lot of times, we as a people don't want to really. They want everything to be linear. Now, here's my thing. I'm okay with linear, but I like it when you say A to B is how you finish the game. But I'm going to put a lot of doors on the side. That's fine.
Yeah.
The game that I'm starting to kind of venture away from. I think it's especially since we were talking offline before we started today to everybody in the chat. We were talking about how we got kids, we're running around, we got stuff going on, there's work, there's this, there's that. Okay, there's football games going on, all kinds of stuff happening. You got to understand, we don't really have time to go and do 80 to 150 hours in these massive open world games. So myself personally, the Uncharted's, the Gears, The Last of Us, Prey, BioShock, the games that I consider linear, because you can go from point A to point B and enjoy the game, but there's a lot of little side things along the path, not where you have to go back 7 worlds to regain this one piece and then come 7 worlds back to plug it into somewhere. That's too much.
I used to hate that.
Yeah.
So,
you know,
for me,
I hate doing that in games.
I don't mind if the game's linear or not. It's how do you get from point A to point B?
Good point.
If there's freedom in that, I really enjoy those type of games. That's why I love BioShock.
Yes.
The series. You can play it multiple times, but just...
Well, Mooch is a big fan of BioShock.
Yeah, I played it a bit too much, to be honest with you. I actually just went through and beat 1 and 2 on the collection because, listen, I'm not an achievement guy. I don't care if I get 200 achievement points in a game or I get 1,000. That's not my thing. But you did get the achievements over again for playing the collection, and God, BioShock's just good.
Yeah, it's so well done.
Well, you got to remember, Mooch, too, you're not a real gamer unless you got a big high gamer score. So
that's right. That is correct.
Apparently, that's the rumor going around. You're not a true gamer.
I love it. No longer are we measuring people by monetary skills. Now it's gamer score.
Gamer score, yeah.
I haven't worked in years. But my gamer score. No, but it is what it is. I think that I think a lot of people and people would think I'm on the Prey World Tour. I just think that if you're in the mood to actually sit down and think about a game and play a game differently that you have, that's why I'm kind of just intrigued by it. It's like I'm playing it. And I'm like, I turned the other day to my wife and I said, this is neat. This is a little different. This is something that like we just haven't experienced in a while. And it's nice to flip it. And now's a perfect time We're going into the summer swoon. There's nothing coming out. I understand Injustice is coming out, but how many times can we play Mortal Kombat and button mash before your fingers fall off?
Yeah.
You know, so I mean,
I know. We've been doing that lately.
Yeah, I mean, we all have. I mean, I'm with you. It's fun, but like, you know, I mean, if I told you 7 days in a row, you got to be Scorpion, and you know, it's just you get bored after a while. So this is kind of neat.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard if you go into Prey expecting to play a game like it's Doom or something, you're going to be disappointed. So and I don't mind those type of games, those thinking games where you've got to explore like every door, every little nick and cranny kind of thing. So I didn't get the Deus Ex games either, so I wouldn't mind. I did play one originally, I think, on the very OG Xbox, but
it was probably the first one.
Yeah, I think it was.
First Deus Ex.
And I love that. And I played it. I think there was like 2 or 3 different endings to that game, and I went through. That
was revolutionary.
Yeah, and then I picked up the back Kapat free game. The was it Evolution? Was that the 360 version that came out?
Human Evolution.
Human Evolution. Yeah, I've got that one. I'm still sitting in my backlog. How bad is our backlogs at the moment? But yeah, I've still got that one sitting there to play. And I'm thinking of picking up the new one as well, and Prey. So because Prey was the one I wanted to pick up next.
Meg, I got a question for you. So, Meg, you see you have these games in your backlog. Some of them are 360 games.
Yep.
Do you see yourself actually going back and playing the 360 games?
Look, some of them I'm picking up the popular big ones just because I wouldn't mind going back. Like if there's a bit of a dry period, that kind of thing to play them. But I can see myself playing a few of them, and actually a few of them I picked up in anticipation. Maybe like maybe my kids might play them or something like that as they get older, because they're going to go with us console to console. So just picking them up now, and then they can experience these.
That's a good
awesome
point.
Games, you know what I mean? Like so like if you've got like a son or a daughter who gets into gaming when they're like 11 or 12, you can say play these games. They're going to look pretty good on the Scorpio 3 or whatever it's going to be at the time. But so I can see myself going back and playing some of those campaigny style games. Not so much the multiplayer because they're probably going to be dead, but more for the campaigns really.
I said it last week on MNC Mornings, and I want to answer that to Mega's point. Whenever I go and put a back compact game in, sometimes I'm like, and I do, but I'll put it in. I'll see the 360 screen come up, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, you know what I mean? It's almost like, all right, ready. I know I'm reaching out to an Australian audience, but you guys know the movie Jaws, right? And Jaws, it's a classic, right? It's an absolute classic. But let's just be real, everybody. As much as I praise it, it's really a 2.5 hour movie waiting for one guy to get eaten by a shark. So like, it's a long, right? So like when that comes on a rerun on television, you kind of sit there and you're like, oh, look, Jaws is on. We all do this. Look, Jaws is on. And then you're like, oh, so anyways, and you keep flipping.
Mooch,
you know?
Nostalgia. It's a hell of a drug.
Absolutely, right? So it gets your butt in the seat for a few minutes. But the great thing about it is, like, that's the thing. When I go back to my 360 games, I'm like, oh, I haven't played this yet. The minute it goes, the 360 sign comes up. And remember, people say that this generation wasn't a huge jump. I thought it was a massive jump because just go back to your 360 screen, hit your whatever it is, the start and select on your Xbox controller, hit that real quick, and bring that old menu back up and look at the word friends on there. It looks like a blob of black letters, right? We have come so far and we just don't realize what we've got. So it's just hard to go back. That was my point, Mega, because I've got a ton of different games that I want to go back to. I just can't see getting back to them.
Well, Larry Herb, he's announced 275 Xbox 360 titles going to be discounted up to 75%. They're going to have a massive sale. They're calling it a backwards compatible super sale. He only just tweeted that out, I think yesterday.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea.
But the thing about backwards compatible, like the only games I've really played is Black Ops 2, and I played Red Dead Redemption. Like apart from that, there's been nothing really. I've bought them and I'm like, why did I buy that? Where's that, refund policy now? It is important. Like, I think it is a thing that Xbox did at the same time, because the PlayStation don't have it. And it's like that whole thing, you want what you don't have, so.
That's exactly it.
You know what I mean? So those guys are like, oh man, I wish I could play Red Dead Redemption. I'm like, oh, and you see all the haters and that or whatever they. Oh, I just fire up my old PlayStation if I want to play that game. Like still got that, man. You traded that fucker in, So
exactly.
So
I mean, And again, I'm kind of talking from the American perspective, but it was like once you got your license to drive a vehicle, people were like, well, I'm still going to keep my 10 speed. You never know. I'll just hop on that and run to the store. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it's just it's ridiculous. And listen, you know what Stick just said, or Omega, you guys are 100% right, because that's exactly what people say all the time on Twitter. It's daily. I'll just go back and play it on PS2, or I'll play it on 360. You won't. Trust me, you're not going to.
No way. You're lucky to play it on Xbox One, let alone fire up your old system.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing to me. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. The great thing, I'm not bashing back compat, because back compat is great because it gives you options, and options are a good thing.
Yeah, and like the kids, man, like my little nephew comes over here and he jumps on those 360 games. He plays them, you know. He's only 8. But he comes around my house. He thinks it's Christmas. There's like 80 games. Not 80, but I've got like 200 games or whatever. And he just thinks it's Christmas. He doesn't know what to play. You know, he's like, what should I play? I just play them all, man. Go for it. But he plays those old games and he likes them, you know, because he's not into the latest and greatest. So the more options, like you said, man, the more options are better.
Yeah, more for the games catalog. Another feather in Microsoft's cap, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
and to be honest, PlayStation couldn't do it, man. If they could do it, they would do it. They just can't. They don't have the they don't have the brains, to be honest. Like
I think that they screwed themselves on the technology. And we have to remember that PS4 was originally going to be a weaker system than the Xbox, but they caught wind of what Microsoft was putting in there. And when they found out what Microsoft was putting into that box, they upped the ante, which, don't get me wrong, business-wise, very savvy. Very savvy.
Look at the Scorpio, man. The Scorpio is going to play 360, Xbox One. It's going to play both them. And it's not really a next-gen console, but it's still, that's pretty cool, I think.
And that's a great point. That's a debate that we can always have fun talking about, but we really won't know until it launches this fall. Microsoft wants to make sure that we keep Xbox Scorpio in the Xbox One family. I mean, business-wise, you want to make sure that you're putting your huge arms out and you're hugging every customer that's touched your product for the past 3 years. But let's be honest, this thing has the potential to feel a lot like a next generation console. And the first thing we were talking about last night that we'll get into maybe today is I think we may get a different looking UI on the Scorpio. It's very feasible. And when you take a box out of the box, pardon the pun, plug it in and you get a new UI, you do feel like you've upgraded, right? You do feel like something new is on the horizon. So
it's a 4K box. Like, you know, like I think Mega brought this up ages ago. We were debating whether it's a next gen console, and Mega said, "Well, I think it is, you know, because it's 4K. It's 4K 60."
I agree.
You know, so it's
they're moving into 4K gaming. So like we're going from 1080p up to 4K. So to me, that's the next step. Like I think I say it every podcast, but I'll sell TVs, right? So like we've got the 1080p TVs, and then you've got the next gen, which are the 4K TVs, right? And I just see that's how I see with the Xbox, like, or PlayStation, whatever. If they go into native 4K gaming, call it what you want, but I just think that is, to me, and I think Mike Moyaro, you know him, Mooch on Twitter, he agrees as well. I think it is actually a next gen console. Yeah, it may have the one in the name, perhaps, we don't know yet, but I just think, you know, I just think personally it is like a next gen experience.
Mega, you're 100% right. Let's if we don't want to believe what Mega just said, let's backtrack here to 2013. When we went from 2012 to 2013 to 360 to the one, or the PS3 to the PS4, when did we really make that jump? You said it yourself, Mega. We went from 720 to 101080. Okay, or people really want to jab us 900. Okay, whatever. My point being, okay, but that was the jump. So if that was the jump, we've got to stop and understand here for a second that now we're taking the next graphical jump in 1080 to 4K. It is the progression scale. We are going to encompass all generations into. We're not going to break them. Pardon me. We're not going to break things down into generations anymore. I think that's the way that they want to do it. It's better for sales that way, so nobody gets left behind. Okay. Yeah. But at the same time, realistically, this is the next technological jump. So it is a next gen in old school terms.
Well, I think it's an improvement too, because you can still play your old games on it. So it's like the next gen, but you improve, where you can you take your games library with you. So
Well, I think that's the future. I think every console from going forward is going to have
because
it's going to have backwards compatible. Yeah, it's just
it keeps you in the ecosystem, doesn't it? So I'm less likely to buy the PS5 because I've still got all my Xbox One games and hopefully they have Scorpio exclusives one day, but yeah, it probably won't happen. But maybe VR games. But
yeah. Well,
by the way, Scratch just joined.
Yep.
How you go, man?
Oh, welcome, Scratch.
Hey, Scratch.
I'm here.
Yeah, how you go, man?
Welcome.
Hey, welcome, buddy.
Morning, Scratch.
Got that coffee?
Scratch probably thinks he's in a time warp. He's like, wait a minute. I went to sleep. I wake up and Mooch is still talking. What happened?
He never got a flop. Yeah.
What the hell? Yeah.
What's going on, man? We're just talking about heaps of stuff. I don't know. Yeah, so it's all.
Yeah, I kind of took us all over. We were just swerving all over the place. Yeah, we were talking about basically the UI stuff we were talking about yesterday, Scratch, that you know more about than any of us. I was just telling him how Mega kind of nailed it. He's saying that we're not going to call this a next generation, but realistically, when we went from PS3 and to PS4 and 360 to the One, we went from 720p to 1080p. This is a 1080p jump to 4K. We are doing a technological jump. So, I mean, as much as the two corporations don't want to call it a next gen, I mean, let's be honest, the 8K TVs are out there, but those 8K TVs are respectively $15,000 to $25,000 American, okay? So we're not there yet. We're just not there yet. We're going to be in this 4K world for minimum 4 to 6 years, which is a console cycle.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's probably
I'm
true.
looking forward to the performance increase with the Scorpio.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want those 60 frames a second on more games.
Like even faster loading times would be.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, surely it's going to load games faster. Like we were talking the other week about GTA, man. Like talking about kids and stuff. I chuck GTA on, and I turn it off before it loads up because it takes that long. You know. So,
it takes a long time.
Well, is that a problem with connecting to the servers, like the online servers there, or is that the actual? Because I've always found every console that I've ever owned, maybe the cartridge system was a little bit quicker. Always had when you turned it on to playing, it was always a good. I don't know, minute.
There.
Yeah, I don't know. And these newer consoles, like it's still, you put an Xbox One game on, it still takes a good minute or two before it's actually up on the screen. And we're in like the fastest Xbox ever. So I can't see. Like I'd love to see it, but I can't see.
Well, what do you guys? Are you
loading
guys
up games to go quicker?
Are you guys fans of Adam Sessler?
Yeah,
and his older work. Adam Sessler did some good. His work early on was amazing, and when he was with Rev 3 Games back in 2012, 2013, well, maybe it was 2013. One of the things he kept on ranting and raving about that got me excited about this generation that we're currently in. He said when Xbox One comes out and PS4, I'm really looking forward to having 0 to little load times. He wanted that to become a thing of the past.
Yeah.
And he sat down with devs, and a lot of devs kind of shook him off a little, saying, listen, it's going to be better than 360, but not what you're asking for. I still, even with the power of Scorpio and whatever PS5 or Scorpio successor will be, I don't know when the load times will go to 0. But I do feel like we didn't make a huge step in the current generation from the 360. Yes, we're a lot better than the old Resident Evil days. Remember when you put your hand on the door would open? You could make a sandwich, mow your lawn, come back, and still be scared of what happened in the next room. But I mean, at the same time, we've gotten better from that era, but we really didn't progress too much from, let's say, look at BioShock on the 360 and Prey's loading times on the One, okay? We're still in the same world of waiting and waiting for that little pinwheel to spin. So, I mean, I'm hoping that does change a little bit more moving forward.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I haven't experienced any fast loading for a long time. Even as the consoles have gotten better, the turning on to starting the game has always tend to be the same, except like the cartridge system seemed to be a little bit quicker. I remember N64 it didn't seem to take that long. I don't know if it was just me thinking that, but these disc
cartridges are faster.
Yeah, these disc style consoles, since we got into those, still take that little while to get on, to load up, to connect to an online server or whatever. It just seems to take, and because the games themselves are a lot more complex themselves, so they're going to take a similar time to load up. Like Mooch said, we've moved on a little bit, but not quite the jump that we expected.
So
But you know, I'm sure things will be a little bit better as we, you know, as each console comes out. So
I think
hopefully.
Scratch, isn't that one of the things Mike Ibarra talks about quite a bit, though? I don't think he refers to it just as loading times, but he's always said, like, new game downloads would be faster. They would compress the file, make it so that we can download things a lot quicker. And downloading speeds, listen, I don't want to pretend I'm a software engineer. That's something I don't dabble in. But if you're going to be able to compress downloading speeds, you could probably also get load times to shrink down in games too.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing is like, you know, the consoles get bigger and better and faster and whatever, but the games also get bigger too. So it's, you know, if you were trying to load like a 360 game on the one, then you know there would be a difference. But I think you kind of nailed it. Like when you talk about like, you know, different compression and different you know, stuff like that that changes it.
Yeah. No, and that's actually, I stand corrected. I think Scratch hit a home run right there. If you take a 360 game and put it on the one, that thing's blistering fast on loading now. It really is. You know, that's the other thing I was saying when people were they're like, I'm disappointed in this generation. I mean, these games we're playing are some of them out of the damn cartridge. It's you like that? I showed my age cartridge box. But right out of off the CD, you're talking about 50 gigs. I mean, these things are just massive games. The worlds are intense, right? And we get upset if the detail's not there in a surrounding planet or whatever you're kind of surveying. So, you know what? I think you're right, Scratch. That's why I said we got to kind of take a step back and enjoy what this generation is giving us and has given us. You know, I think it's been a great Xbox One, PS4 era. I hope it doesn't get written as one of those like downtimes. I think it's one of the best like game collection, game experiences we've all gotten to have a good time with it in a long time.
Oh, I mean, you look at the games now, like Forza Horizon, you know, Gears of War, like how good they look. Like the 3 years into the generation, we're starting to really see the developers, you know, like put out some good games. Horizon Zero Dawn, you know, like
Forza Horizon looks so good. It could be a track racer. The fact that it's an open world racer just blows me away.
Yeah,
in how good it looks.
It's incredible.
It actually looks like Australia.
Yeah, it does. The attention to detail is incredible. I will say with the performance of the games though as well. Sorry, Scratch, to cut you off there.
No, that's fine. I was interrupting too.
For those who have played Mass Effect Andromeda, when you land on the planet and the size of that planet with no load times, and you go into the vaults, also with no load times, and they're also massive. That's pretty impressive to me, I thought. If that was back on the 360 days, that would be loading multiple times.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and
so it's good to see that.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned that, like the 360. Everybody talks about how good the 360 is. And like as Mooch says, you go back and load up a 360 game and play one of the most graphical, you know, one of the more graphical and enhanced games on that. You play the new versions on the Xbox One. You see how far we've come along and how good this generation actually is compared to 360 days.
Oh yeah.
I mean, 360 days were golden. Like, don't get me wrong, but we've jumped that far ahead with, like, especially with these new gen consoles. The difference is massive. You know what I mean? Like even just going back, just playing like the old Call of Duties and the old Halos and stuff. The jump to this generation is huge. And it's only going to get better as well. So
Black Ops 2 to Black Ops 3 is a big difference.
Oh, it's massive.
Just the way the game performs and the level of detail in the graphics and the textures.
Yeah,
there is a difference.
Yeah.
I think people forget it. Once it's been a few years, maybe 4 or 5 years, they forget and think maybe the old games looked a bit better than what they did.
Yeah, but you go back and have a play with them and you think, you go,
rose-coloured glasses.
You go, hang on a sec. And then you load up the new Halo or the new Call of Duty or new Gears, and you think, wow, look at the difference. You know, you know, so you know, it's good times, and with Scorpio around the corner, I mean, you can just imagine how good it's going to get.
What game in Australia is the must-own? Like, it's very easy for me to say, if you want me to just, and Scratch, correct me if I'm wrong here, but over in the States, what I would say is, if you're an Xbox fan, you're either a Halo, you either have a Halo game on your console right now or a Gears game on your console right now. It seems to me, sitting over here in the States and listening to how Europe and Australia and how everyone kind of talks online, it seems like you guys would either be very heavy into your Forza Motorsport or like a FIFA, you know, type of game. Am I right in saying that? Or no, Australia is still very much dominated by a Halo or Gears crowd?
FIFA's pretty big here.
Yeah,
As our
GTA,
racing games.
obviously.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
are car racers
Yeah.
big?
Yeah, they're pretty big. From my
Yeah.
experience, yeah, they are pretty popular.
Yeah, if they release a V8 supercars over here, it's like the best game ever. You know, like it's the one to own. But me personally,
We love our
I'm
shooters,
a Halo. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
a Halo Gears type of guy. I'm not really huge on races. Like
Yeah.
back in my favorite racer of all time is Extreme G back on the N64. I don't know whether you guys. It actually reminds me a little bit.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
actually the Hot Wheels actually reminds me a little bit of that. The way it's the
Yeah.
loops and the
Yeah.
corkscrews and stuff like that. So yeah, but ever since then, look, I must admit, Burnout series was very good, and obviously the Forza incredible. But yeah, I'm more like your Halo Gears type of guy, Mooch.
But I think gaming is one of those universal languages, man, where it's pretty much the same everywhere. Like that's like we do these podcasts, we're all on the same level. You know, like when we're talking to Americans, we're talking to people in the UK. We're all in the same. That's what I love about gaming. You know, like because we're all on the same level. You know, I can talk to Newf over in the States, and we talk in the same language. You know, like
Yeah.
I think we all play the same games, don't we? Like
Yeah,
That's a
like we're
great
all.
point.
It sounds like
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I think we're all just chasing that feeling we had as a kid when we started. We want to just find the game that makes us feel like we did when we first played. You know, pick a
Yeah.
game or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
great point too, Scratch. I'll tell you, it took me a while to develop it or find it. I shouldn't say develop it, find it. But Gears Online for me gives me the multiplayer edge I remember as being younger. And, you know,
Yep.
it's just something that like whenever, I'll almost drop any other game I'm playing to go and do some Gears. And that wouldn't have been the case if you asked me that 4 or 5 years ago. You know, that wasn't it. I just kind of stumbled upon it again, and it just that was that game. And I think Scratch is right. We're all trying to find that one game where we're like, this reminds me of when I was this age, and
Right.
it's perfect.
Or to
Yeah.
get that same feeling. I know, like I loved GoldenEye on the N64. Like I have
Me
so
too.
many
Classic.
memories about that, and I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you know, recently I was like, because I'm chasing it, right? So recently, I say recently, but maybe like a year ago. But anyways, I hooked up my N64 because I still have it, and I hooked it up and I was playing, and I'm like, I'm gonna jump in, and my brother came over, and I was like, let's jump in and play GoldenEye, and like it was so bad, like it was just,
Yeah.
I was like,
What's
I've
with the frame
ruined
rate?
it. You know what I
It's so
mean?
low.
Like,
Yeah.
but it was, I mean, it wasn't bad, but the controls were really weird. I mean, I haven't played in however long it's been since it was out, you know, but
Right.
Yeah.
but it's really that feeling that, you know, just like the feeling of like, I think Mooch talked about it on Crossfire yesterday about like, you know, when you opened your games on Christmas morning and you just had, you know, a couple of games or whatever, and like just peeling back the wrapping paper to see like, oh my God, this is the one that I wanted. And then it's like, he was talking now, like with Game Pass, like you could potentially, even though it's digital, you could potentially peel back 100 games at once or something.
That's
And
amazing.
Yeah.
it's interesting to see like how, you know, younger people's experience with gaming is going to be different, but yet it's also the same. So I was excited to get one game, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I didn't get
no.
brand new games sometimes until they were out for 6 months.
Again, I'm gonna
They've
put
got
myself
no
into
idea.
a time warp. But you were a kid, you got that cartridge for your SNES or your Genesis. If you're in me and I think all of our age gap. If you got that, we played till the cartridge melted. I mean, it was just. You know, I mean, I played Ghosts and Goblins until my thumbs looked like they were at war, like they had
man, what a great
bandages
game.
on them. It's like, you know, nowadays it's just so funny. I think now it's that instant gratification. I think Game Pass gives the younger generation that gratification to jump from game to game now.
Well, we used to go to the
Yeah, for sure.
arcades. Remember going to the arcades?
Yeah.
And, like spending
Oh,
all your
hell
money
yeah.
there.
Oh man. Yeah.
You know, that
On
was where the
Daytona for
graphics.
me.
That's where the latest games were. You know, and then I think what was it? That game that came. Street Fighter came to NES.
Oh yeah.
And it was like we can play it in the
SNES.
living rooms then.
Yeah.
I was a SNES. Sorry, yeah.
I still remember getting Mortal Kombat 2 for my birthday, and I think that was about
Oh, man.
$135 Australian back then.
Yeah.
That's like a small house. That's how much it costs to get that game at launch.
People used to have the arcade machines. You remember someone that there was always that dude who bought the actual arcade machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His house was like, come over, man. I got the arcade machine. I got Street Fighter.
And you didn't need any money to play it. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't need money to
he'd
play.
have the key and he'd just load up all the credits. It was cool.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
It's too
man.
funny.
You know, it's funny. We say all these things, and the younger people that listen to the podcast are like, "Oh, these guys are older." Blah blah. Blah. You know, the thing about it is, though, man, I got to tell you, I feel in one way it's cool. The new generation has things like they have games on their iPads, their iPods. They're traveling. The Switch is out now. That all that world is opening up. So they've got things that they're going to experience that at one point or another they're going to call old tech. But here I feel like they really missed out not having that. We saw the progression go from something that was just a 32-bit game, but it had to be the size of a 6'5" basketball player back in the day. We had to put 8 quarters into, right? And now it's something you carry in your pocket next to your dentine gum. You know, and it's like that's amazing to be able to see that happen. And think about it, right? So think about TVs right now. We have TVs up on walls that look like picture frames. But if you think about your grandparents, your grandparents were still in 1945 with no TV at all. TV wasn't even around to something now that's on the wall like a picture frame. That's a massive jump for those folks to see. Still kind of a jump for us. But my kids, if I showed my kids a tube set on the ground, like honest to God, I think they would just like they'd sit on it or put a cup of coffee. Yeah, you know, to them, it's a table. It's just a table. It's an awkward table with a piece of glass on one side.
It's a bedside table.
Yeah,
so it wasn't too bad either because you only had to buy one piece of furniture to have something to put your Nintendo on.
That's right.
TV.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's right. Yeah.
Now you got to find somewhere to put it.
Awesome.
I'll probably say that's why the jump from 900p to 1080p wasn't that big for me, and the whole hoo-ha that surrounded that just didn't really do anything for me because I've been playing games for so long. You know what we had back in the 80s?
Man, we're so old.
It was
we
nothing.
Can't actually see that.
It was the picture on the cover of the box was better than what I played on the game. Ridiculous.
Now you're really getting the nostalgia. You know, you remember back in the day with Genesis and SNES. Part of the fun, the experience wasn't just when you opened up that cartridge case, there was a map that looked like you were going to travel the West Hemisphere, right? I mean, this huge thing would open up with an instruction booklet, which is now sold separately for $30 to $50. With every description of every enemy, what the swords were. It showed your life. Like there was a page dedicated to the hearts in Zelda. Like we didn't know a half meant almost dead, but they wanted to put it in print. And it was just amazing to have all these great things. And now you open up the thing and it's almost like smoke comes out in a disc. There's nothing else in there, you know. So
epilepsy warming, and that's about it.
I hope the Doug podcast listeners are in their 30s because if anyone's in their young 20s or teens, right now they're thinking we're on peyote or some kind of drug.
Man, I could read those instruction booklets for hours. I used to read them for hours, man. Yeah,
absolutely.
And I used to read the front and the back of the boxes of the cartridges and stuff, like the actual boxes that they came in. I could sit there and look at them for hours and just go, I can't wait to play this for my
Your parents would buy you the game, but you couldn't play it till like after dinner or done your
Yep.
homework.
Yeah, so
you'd read it.
I'd walk around the room. Yeah, I'd walk around the house.
You'd be reading the booklet, you know, and you know all about the game before you even started playing it, man. It was that hype.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So, good stuff.
Man, we're old.
All reminiscing.
I'm not too sure how old Scratch is.
Now, you kids don't know how lucky you are.
Whippersnappers.
30s and 40s now, aren't we?
I remember when Cranky Kong was just a little monkey.
Oh, man. I remember that.
Double Dragon, Siberia just said. There's a few games
Double
getting
Dragon,
chucked out in the chat there. Streets of Rage 2.
That's
Altered
a classic.
Beast.
Yeah.
Altered Beast.
Everybody, the chat's with us. They're reminiscing too, man. They're all in their 30s and 40s.
How about the Disney Afternoon Collection that just released not too long ago? Has anybody played that? They pretty much ported like Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers 1 and 2, DuckTales, all that stuff.
See, I played DuckTales so much, Scratch. Loved it. I did not pick up this collection, but the collection is a walk down nostalgia lane. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I kind of liked how it just got me thinking about it because of all this stuff we're talking about. Because I played through the Mega Man collection, or I am playing through it. I kind of gave up on it because I was doing YouTube playthroughs of it, and it was just getting. I was just like, I suck at this hard ass game. I do really good like on the first Mega Man and the second Mega Man, but like the when I started getting into like 3 or 4, like the developers just was like, we hate our fans. Let's break their soul. And so I haven't gotten too far, like in 3 and 4, but I like how they're doing older games and then they bring them back with like save states and things. Like it's interesting to see what the difficulty curve is for those old games versus when they not even remaster them. Like they're not spending any time like making the graphics better, making anything. It's pretty much a direct port, or it's ripped off of a ROM that they found online, but they just add all of these little things to make it easier. Like
now what's the cost on that series, Scratch?
I think it's like $20 or $25. I think I'll look it up here real quick. I'm not 100% sure.
Who here on the panel is playing a game called Shovel Knight or has played Shovel Knight? Has anyone played that game yet?
No, I haven't.
No, not yet.
That game is, listen, I know if anyone who follows me on Twitter or listens to any of the podcasts, I've got a thing going where I followed Yacht Club Games, who's the developers for Shovel Knight. And Shovel Knight has now been out for like a year and a half, maybe more, maybe 2 years. It's still $20.
I think.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, I'm like, can you guys, I write to them, I'm like, $9.99 is a sweet spot, fellas. I try not to annoy them too much, but I send them a tweet like every 3 or 4 days. I'm like, can you guys put a sale out there? Like, here's my thing. The reason I asked Scratch about that cost was here you got a collection with 3 games, and it's like you said, a direct port. Shovel Knight, as much as it's newer, it's really DuckTales meets Ghosts and Goblins. So, I mean, it's after 2 years on the market, I would have expected to see this thing go on sale, and I have yet to see it go on sale. It's just driving me crazy.
Yeah, this is actually 6 games because it has. Well, it's DuckTales, Chippendales, Darkwing Duck, and Tailspin, but it also has part 2 of DuckTales and part 2 of the Rescue Rangers.
There you go.
So there's actually 6 of them, which is, to your point, even more, right?
Exactly.
But this is $20. At least it is on Steam. I'm sure it is everywhere else.
There was a couple of games that recently came out, guys, that are I'm going to call them indie / direct ports of older games. And one of them, actually, I have yet to play it. I did watch a little bit of the Let's Play on someone that was doing it. I think even Jay did it. Shout out to Jay Dubs, the graphic god. He likes Wonder Boy, which is a game that came out maybe about 3 weeks ago or so.
Yep.
And he loved it, and he says it's fantastic, but it's $20. And I'm not saying that they don't, but I mean, you have got Prey, Injustice. There's all these other games. There's games that have come out in the past 6 months, right, that are $30, $40 that are AAA. And people only have so much money to put $20, $30 down for some of these old games that are just like 16 or 32-bit renditions. Yeah. That's where I think they're having a disconnect. And maybe they have to put the price that high to make things meet. But at the same time, have a couple of sales here and there, and you'll be amazed how I would buy Shovel Knight and Wonder Boy if I can get them both for combined $20. $10 a piece. Yeah. I'm buying it right now. I'll buy it during the podcast to prove my point. But that's not going to happen. As it is, I'm actually going to buy the Hot Wheels DLC as soon as this podcast is over. You're probably going, Mooch, how could you not have bought that yet? Well, I don't know about you guys, but I like to play my New York lottery once a week. I also like to play the free contest Fridays with Larry Herb. I always feel like just one time I can go to bed on Friday and wake up Saturday a winner. But that'll never be.
Yeah, I know. I do that too. I wait for Larry's giveaways. I'm like, well, maybe I'll just wait and see. I might win
1 in 5,000 chance.
Yeah.
One day it'll happen.
Right? I mean, guys, I got news for you. The day I win this, I might have to take a year sabbatical off, which now Larry's probably going to make me win next week. Get Mooch off there. Let's get him as a winner. I think that that DLC, DLC warrants a certain price tag. I don't have a problem. I actually don't, as a consumer, have a problem with the DLC for Forza. You can see a lot of money and time went into it. I'm sure they.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I got a question for you guys. This was a debate while we were gaming a few weeks ago. Do you guys, is it Mattel that ends up paying Microsoft for the rights to put their Hot Wheels on Xbox, or is it Microsoft that pays Mattel for the rights to use their vehicles? Do we know where the money's going in this situation? Who pays who?
Yeah, back scratching
good question.
thing going, is it? And like they're both looking after each other, maybe. I don't know. Like
that was what that was also an answer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'm sure there's from like Hot Wheels, because Hot Wheels licenses things too, and so it probably I was kind of interesting to see that come out, because it probably gets out into the weeds when you start talking about who's owed what.
Right.
Because Hot Wheels also licenses, the likenesses of the vehicles and things like that as well on their own products like that you buy, not just video games. So,
but I mean, Xbox have got the game to do it.
Like, that's I think that like creates like a vortex of thought, and you just you probably would end up in a hospital somewhere if you tried to think about that. I don't know how that would work.
Let's be honest,
I think about the same thing with like Lego too. Like Lego's the same way.
But Xbox have got the game to do it. Like PlayStation don't have a racing game to do Hot Wheels, so they had no choice. Like,
right.
I'm not being a prick about it. Like the Forza is the game that could make that work.
Yeah, it would be weird to see it in some like the other like Sims, and I think that's kind of why like you see. I think that's kind of why you see like we have Forza, and then you have like Forza Horizon, which Forza Horizon is more of the non-racing fan, arcade,
it's so good,
acceptable sort of a game. And then you have like Forza Motorsport 6, which is more
my
hardcore racing, that sort of thing.
My 4-year-old is so hyped for Hot Wheels. He's like, "Have you downloaded it yet, Dad?" He's like 4 years old. He's mastered Mad Cats. He's absolutely mastered that. And he's like, when am I getting the Forza DLC? I'm like, you're 4 years old, you say DLC.
That's funny.
But yeah, he's like, he should have seen the face he pulled when I told him that Hot Wheels was coming to Forza Horizon. We actually only play 6 because you can't split screen on Forza Horizon, man, which is disappointing. But me and him play on 6. We go around that Daytona track, just around a big circle, So
yeah, even the attention to detail, like in the Forza Motorsport 6, I know we're circling back to like the detail that we were talking about when we were hitting up load times and things like that. But I was home for Christmas, and I was at my cousin's house, and there was a guy that was there who works at the Watkins Glen NASCAR. It's a big NASCAR racetrack, and he works there, and he's like he works there all year long, even when they don't have NASCAR races. And for the Australian NASCAR, if you probably know, because like everybody knows everything about the U.S., but people in the U.S. don't know anything about the rest of the world. But anyways, NASCAR is just like a big racing circuit. And anyways, if you don't know, I'm sure you probably do. But anyways, he's there all the time. Like he's like a groundskeeper, maintenance. So he has a pretty cool job. So like when celebrities and things come, like it's his job to kind of take them around, show them how things work. And he was there when the team from Forza came to, take pictures of the track, gather data and stuff like that to recreate it for the DLC. Now this is DLC. This surprised me a little bit. But they had, vehicles and cars and just a whole entourage of people. Like he couldn't believe like how many people were there. Now he's obviously not a game developer, but his thought of like them recreating the track was like, oh, we'll send you a couple of stills of people racing. We'll give you some aerial photos, and then you guys just kind of recreate it. But they don't. They actually come and like scan the whole place. And he was telling him that the level of detail, like if you're racing, like say with like a Mad Catz racing wheel or something like that, riding around a track, he says he told him if someone who has raced on your track before plays our game, the bumps and the gravity of the car and everything is going to feel really familiar to them. They'll probably recognize it. And I'm thinking that's a detail that like
that's incredible.
0.0001% 90% of people would pick up on. Because, I mean,
I
if you
know.
look at the people who play Forza versus the people who have raced on that track, I got to believe
It's
it's
amazing.
a pretty giant margin.
There's a passion there, man. Those guys, those
But
devs
they take
make
that
those
level of
games,
detail.
Yeah,
like the guys that makes those games, like there's a passion there. They want to make. They love cars. They love racing, and they want to make it. You know what I mean? Like it's not. Let's just make a game like Horizon Zero, not Horizon Zero, No Man's Sky, which is going to sell shitloads, you know, and we'll just suck everyone in with bullshit fucking marketing and that. They're making a game that they want to play. You know, they're making a game that they want. They want it to be as this.
Yeah.
They've probably got their bosses like talking to them, going, "Man, just don't worry about that shit. You know, we need to make we need to make money here." Like, no, we got passion.
Just shows the dedication of that studio, you know.
Yeah, I just love that, man.
It's great to see the technology of today be able to give gamers that type of detail.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder because I bet we're still, like, from a developer standpoint, you know, and I'd love to actually get their take, a real developer's take on it, but from their standpoint, like, I gotta believe that, like, as great as the Xbox One is, or PS4, PS4 Pro, even PC, I'm sure we're still hitting the ceiling of, like, what we're capable of doing versus what they really want to do. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's a little bit frivolous to, like, go out and make sure that you get every minor bump on a road that less than, like, 0% of the population is driven on. But that also shows like a level of passion, a level of you know, just pushing forward to try to just make games as real as possible and include every possible detail, no matter how insignificant it is. So I'm curious to see what they're going to be able to do, you know, even next with, you know, with Scorpio. I mean, I know what they're going to be able to do next, because you can, you know, it's the never-ending battle. You can always go play on a PC to see what's coming in the next console generations, because it's always ahead. You know what I mean? It's not going to be more than what an $8,000 computer could do. But most people can't buy an $8,000 computer, so the console makes it accessible. However, it'll be interesting to see like what sort of innovations and things that they go with, because I think one of the other things is they don't always build the greatest games or the greatest things in games, is because it wouldn't be accessible to anybody if they could. No one's going to make a game that only runs on something that costs $10,000.
You know what it is, Scratch? It's all about the vocal minority these days. That's all we keep hearing about on, you know, social media. You know, you would think that everybody in the world has a $5,000 PC in their house meant strictly for gaming. They don't even pay their bills on it. Don't touch that computer, kids. That's for Forza. No, nobody has this. And the reason that they're saying PC gaming is growing is, I've said this, from 1995 till yesterday, every class of family in every country now has some sort of PC in the house, right? The internet is no longer, it's like the refrigerator back in 1929. Everyone got one finally. Before it was a block of ice you kept your meat on. My point is this, okay? Everybody's able to go buy a game and play at low resolution. So when they're like, PC's just taking over. Well, yes, but there's got to be an asterisk, right? I mean, it's not this powerful PC. So when Microsoft comes and says, we're going to give you a product, we'll call it Scorpio, okay? And it's going to be what would be worth of $1,000 or $1,100 out of pocket to build on your own. We're giving to you in a condensed box for somewhere between $400 and $500. We don't know. You've got to understand what you're getting, and you will be in the PC class. I mean, it's okay to say that. And PC people have to be okay with opening the door and letting us in. I'm sorry, we like a controller.
But don't forget about, like, also it's on a level playing field where everyone's got the same console.
Right. Like,
to me, that speaks volume. I would never go to a PC knowing that the guy down the road has got a better PC, he's getting a better frame rate and all this sort of bullshit because he spent more money on his PC than me. That's why I play consoles, because everyone's on the same level. There's a few cheats. But we've got the same Xbox, we've got the same controller.
That's right.
And you know, I know that if I get beaten on in a game, it's because the guy was a better player. I was playing Mortal Kombat today, you know, that tournament, Supersonic Stations tournament, and there was no lag. I was playing a guy he's in the Pacific Coast or Pacific time, so I think he was in LA or whatever. Slaps. There was no lag, man. There was no bullshit. We went in, we joined the game, we played. It took 20 minutes. We had our tournament. I got my ass kicked. But you know what I mean? Like there was no, I wasn't like logging into the computer, going on Discord so we could get in a private chat, and you know what I mean? Like PC does not interest me at all.
Yeah, like Max just said, it's the simplicity of consoles that draws people in. You know,
it makes it a plug and play.
Yeah. And like Mrs. Jones down the road isn't going to buy a PC for their 10-year-old kid to play on the 60-inch TV. They're going to go buy a console that they can put in a room and just turn it on.
Just works.
Yeah, Mega. Listen, it's not hard to make a hamburger. You get in the car, you go to the grocery store, you buy the ground beef, you buy the bread, you buy your condiments, you come home, you throw it on the grill. About 15 minutes later, you take the hamburger, you put it on the bun, bang, you're eating a hamburger, right? That's not hard. But that's the equality of building a PC. You know what's easier? Hi, how are you? I'll take a number 2, supersized. That's easier, right? So people, why do you think McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, who sell the same product, are still in business, still thriving? It's easier. And we know that when you sit down at McDonald's and you got a number 2, the table next to you has the same number 2. You know what I mean? That's the same thing. Yes. And that's the thing. It speaks volumes to what you guys were just saying. The fact that when I'm playing a game, and I know that the person on the other side of the world is using the same game, the same controller, the same system, I know that at this point, it's a skill set. It's you versus me. Am I better than you, or are you better than me? Now, if you know, and listen, here's the other thing I've always said, and I don't get this with PC guys. I'm just confused. Like, when was the last time you went to go close a box or a screen on your PC and missed the little X in the corner? Never. When have you ever gone? You know what I mean? You're like, I just want to close the screen, but I can't hit the X in the corner. I'm missing it every time, honey. What's going on? My point is that if you're using a keyboard and mouse and you're using a shooter, it's not very hard to get a headshot on somebody when you're just dangling the mouse over my head. You know, I mean, it's not very difficult.
We're better gamers.
So,
especially when
if we went on PC, we would fucking tear them apart. I mean, be honest, we would, because we play on controllers. It's so much fucking harder. Give me a mouse, man. I'll kick
it is harder. Ass. It is harder. And I think, don't get me wrong, if you threw the keyboard and mouse at me day one, another keyboard and mouse guy might whoop my ass left and right. But my point is this. You give me a couple weeks to try it, I do think the keyboard and mouse eventually gets a little bit easier. And a lot of people I know that play PC, they play all their PC games on extremely hard difficulty. But I know why they do that now. Because it's not hard to play on normal. You know, you're just pegging people off from a mile away with a mouse.
Yeah, that's right.
So they want it on hard because it gives you more things. Listen, I played Diablo 3 on PC. I played it on 360, and I played it on the One. And Diablo on PC was very boring for me because it was just click to move forward, click to fight, click to pick up, click to move forward. You know what I mean? It was worse than it's worse than any assembly line job I could ever think of. And where on the Xbox, it was great because you had all your skill sets on different buttons. And sure, you could sit there and say, Mooch, that's just a button mash. But it was still a little bit more skill to it with the timing than it was just click, 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 click. So I don't know. Again, this is a me thing. I'm not saying the other person's wrong for liking PC. All I'm saying is that what Microsoft is preparing for us is for a console PC world to come together. And everybody's got to be ready for that.
I don't want that. I don't want it, man.
And it's
if I wanted that,
it's going to happen with the whole, you know.
I know. I'm scared of that.
I still think there'll be segregation in the fact that you can pick. They've said a number of times now that you'll be able to pick if you want to use a controller versus a keyboard.
Well, they've got it on Gears already, man. In the
right, they do, and there is a difference.
It's not in ranked.
Yeah,
but it's in that single. What's it called? Casual or whatever the fuck it is. And you know what I don't like about that is the people that are playing in that game type, the people just who bought the game, just like, I just want to go in and they're just casual people, and they're going in there against some guy on a PC. And I can tell you right now, I'll play that game, and against those PC guys with the Lancer and the long shot, they're deadly. They're absolutely deadly, man. Yeah. And like with the shotgun, we can get them. You get in close, you can get them with the controller. But if they got the Lancer on you, it's like a water gun, man, just spraying you. It does not miss.
I wonder if you guys connect to PC. I wonder if you guys there connect to PC gamers just based on like the network and where the Azure servers are and stuff. related to like Australia. If you connect with more PCs than we do here, like say in the States, because I play a fair amount of Gears, but I don't. I mean, we run into like a few,
1 or 2
PC players, but not a whole lot. But whenever I talk to somebody that's either from like maybe even in Europe or in some other countries,
we're 60-stick, man.
It's a point that they bring up. It's a point they bring up about the PCs, because you must run into them more. I wonder.
We normally get like 1 or 2. I stop playing it, man. But
I mean, that doesn't make me disagree with your point, because you're right. If you do get a room full of them, it is difficult to. They're just.
Especially if you're not used to them, you know.
Well, there's nothing you can do to combat them, but man, because it's an uneven playing field. So you can't actually combat him. You can't go, okay, well, he's got a mouse, so I'll just do it this way. Like, he's just shooting you with the Lancer before you can get to him. You know, like, and I just,
well, the better example is the long shot, right? The long shot. All of a sudden, you're almost godly, because you're as far as you want to be, and you're just popping people off. The minute they stand up, your mouse is just over their head. You know, it's just pop, pop. It happened last night where, you know, usually when you died with somebody who had the long shot in a game of Gears, you could see them. They're somewhere within your sight. You're like, oh, there's that son of a gun. But in this case, I died 3-4 times last night from a headshot, and we were playing. There was a PC person in the match. And my favorite thing with PC people that play with us on Gears, the minute you're like, dude, you're on PC. They're like, no, but I'm using a controller, I swear. It's almost like they drop it. Their hands are in the air, right? It's almost like they got a spotlight on them. They're like, no.
I don't have the advantage. No. Yeah, I know.
So that cracks me up. Listen, they're all good people. I've played with PC, but there is an advantage. And I do think that Mike Ibarra is completely aware of it. I hope that they'll make there definitely will be the ability with this whole thing coming together to say, no, I only want to play with controller folks on this side. And that'll come to fruition.
And that's a good point though. Like you say, like Mike is aware of it. And not just him, but like everybody that works there. I know like on Twitter and stuff, there was like people were, you know, questioning, I guess, about, you know, like Microsoft executives thanking, you know, Nintendo, like about the Switch or something like that. And so, but to really, like, they're gamers like we are. And I honestly, personally, I sort of embrace the idea that they look at it, for one, because it's, you know, you can't get too cocky, right? And you can't get complacent. And I don't know that they are yet. We'll know at E3. But you can't get too cocky or get complacent. But at the same time, how can you make a great product for a gamer if you don't have that sort of vested interest in the other systems that come out? Because you have to know like what, you know, like what other things are doing. And just the fact that so many of them felt the same way about, you know, Zelda as I did, because we shared similar experiences and things like growing up. They're obviously not going to, you know, they're obviously going to be pushing their products and pushing their games and stuff, you know, when they come to the console, or, you know, if somebody comes and pitches a game to Phil or Shannon Loftus about, you know, coming onto the platform or whatever. It's good to know that they're aware of those types of experiences. Again, going back to chasing that childhood feeling that you had is why you like gaming. It's good to know that they also share in that, and that when someone is showing them their games and stuff, like, they're going to know, you know, what somebody wants, because it's helpful. Now that said, I mean, I'm not one to have somebody tell me what I like, but at least we can agree that they would, you know, have some sort, because I don't see Reggie playing an Xbox, you know, and I honestly think,
I love Xbox.
And I honestly think if he did, we wouldn't have friggin' friend codes for everything.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. But he doesn't play it. He doesn't care about it.
I think that's the disconnect scratch, and I think we should. That's the larger picture of. I think you saw the outbreak of tweets going on Twitter when the whole like Xbox community that worked for Xbox, not the Xbox community, the executives at Xbox were kind of all over the Switch, and it was Switch miss, and the main reason I think you the reason I think you saw all that go down, that wasn't bad. But, you know, the
Mooch is
It was off the cuff as well.
So, it cracked me up, but at the same time, we would like to see Reggie pick up an Xbox controller. It wouldn't be so bad if Yoshida actually was like, "Hey, Gears ain't bad," even if he stepped on it 3 minutes later. Like, the point of the matter is, like, it wouldn't be bad to just see this. Like, listen, Scratch, all of us, right? People that do podcasts together, and forget all of us that are doing these podcasts. How about the people that have hundreds of thousands of subs? Everybody does this through journalism. It's like, oh, so-and-so's a good guy, and so-and-so's a good gal, and she did great, blah, blah. It's all this, like, it's what makes business work. You shake hands, or if you're in another country, you bow, and if it's another, right? The thing here is you've got Microsoft execs going out of their way, completely out of their way, to say wonderful things about games, controllers, systems, and everything about these others. And you said it yourself, Scratch. Reggie he wouldn't even know an Xbox controller if it landed in his hand. And that's where I think the Xbox community is a little taken back. It's almost like when you walk by somebody at work in the hallway and you're like, "Hey, Frank, what's up?" And the guy just walks right by and there's no one else in the hall. You're like, "Oh, apparently Frank doesn't like me." So, it's like, and I think that's where we're at right now.
Well, we know people that play with Phil. Like Randall Thor, Tim Dog, they play with you, man. They play video games with you.
Yeah.
He's a fucking gamer and a half.
Yeah, and I think that, I would just love for Reggie to hold an Xbox controller one time so that he makes one similar. Anyways, go ahead. Steph. I'm sorry.
It just goes to show how classy the execs for Microsoft are, and to me,
man, they'll game with you guys, man. You could join a party, though.
Like shouting out other consoles.
Yeah.
I think one of the arguments were, and I kind of looked at it at one stage as well, and thought it was Halo Wars was coming out at the time at number 2, and it seemed like all they were talking about was Switch and Zelda. I think that's what people didn't. I think people in the community,
and I think
I
definitely think that's a fair argument, because it was a little overwhelming in terms of that. But then also it's like. But it's also their personal Twitter account, so...
Yeah, well, that's right, yeah.
Well, were any of you guys watching Mike Ibarra? He was streaming Battlegrounds. Man, I was watching it. It was pretty cool. And, and he was so involved in that game. Like, he's a gamer and a half.
And that's it. And that's a good point, because, he's playing a different game. It's on PC. It's not on Xbox One.
Yeah, it's coming soon.
But the fact that could even possibly come to it is like you have a vice president playing the game, enjoying the game with the community, because he's on stream and stuff as well. And so if they want to bring, if they want to bring this game, he's not just sitting there and like what we think of like executives like from the 80s businesses, where like he puts his cigar down and peeks up over the pile of money on his desk and it's like, what's the name of this game people are talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
He's actually playing it at night at home after work, just like me. Like same thing. Like he gets up, he goes to work in the morning, pants on one leg at a time, and then when the pants are on, he's running a big part of Xbox. But at the core, like they're a lot just like we are, and I wouldn't say I found it refreshing, like how much they like the Switch and stuff, because like I get people's complaints, like it's not unfounded, like it does make you nervous, but to me, I looked at it, I'm like, wow, if they're so excited about that, what do we have coming that they're not afraid? Right. Like that's right. It's just the opposite. Like you could look at it either way.
Do you look at like we're talking about Forza, how that's like, a car enthusiast. The devs are car enthusiasts that made that game. They love cars, and that made it. I feel the same about Scorpio, man. Like it's gamers made the console, like the old Xbox 360. It's gamers made the console they want to play on.
Right.
They just that's what I feel like. It's not about making money. It's about making a fucking awesome thing.
That's right. Well, when you look at people, if you ever see any of the auto shows that go on in Detroit, they happen all over the world, but you have Italian, German car makers all coming to Detroit for the auto show. When you talk to these people, from the executives down to the person who put the car together that's on the floor, these are passionate people. These are people that love the automobile industry. And when you have Mike and Phil, president, vice president, respectively, when you have them working on games and overlooking the new system, it doesn't really get a whole lot better than that. And I'll tell you,
exactly.
Sony lost a step when, and I've never given Adam Boyes any credit because I never really liked his PR model, but he was a big player in what Sony was able to do with the indie world and a lot of the devs and this and that, and they lost that. That was one of their only people that kind of had their hand on, their finger on the pulse. Mark Cerny does to a certain extent, but with the new role he's taken on and his age, he's a little out of the loop in my personal opinion, because the fact that they're even making an Act 2 tells you he's a little out of the loop. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but Mike, like Scratch says, we all get done with a hard day's work. We go home, we take care of our families, and the kids are asleep. Everything's taken care of. We strike up the system. We have a great time. That's the same thing these executives are doing. And generally, not all the time, but 90% of the time, when you have somebody working on what is their true passion in life, you usually get the best product. A lot of people are going to throw stones at me here, but I'm an Apple fan. You guys know that. And documentaries are all out now saying Steve Jobs was a rough guy and a tough guy and a mean person. Yeah. Listen, he lived his work. He loved his work. And he got shit done. And that's why, whether you don't like iPhone for whatever reason, that's not this debate. But the iPhone works. Okay, that son of a bitch works when you pick it up.
I'm with you too, Mooch, by the way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And whether we're talking about the automobile industry, we're talking about the tech industry, or the gaming industry, what we have to understand is that that's what Scratch's point was. I'm just trying to drive it home, is that we've got people in place that adore this product. So I think we're in good hands. I really, truly do.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to let Xbox fail over. I mean, and a couple of tweets aren't going to change anything.
No.
I mean, I bet people even have forgotten about most of it. I mean, it was buzzing at the time, but I mean, I don't think it had any lasting effect that anybody's gonna, in a couple of months from now go, look at this. This is because some random person that works in one department of Xbox tweeted about Switch. Now look what we have. Crap. Like I don't think that'll ever happen.
Yeah. Well, no one's talking about that now, are they? Like, it's not in the news.
Right. And they won't. But I mean, it's still a good point. But like, just to say, like, I mean, I love Nintendo. Like, I grew up with Nintendo. Nintendo originally took over with Sega as publishing Sega games after Sega, went away.
Some good games, some good devs.
Right. And they, and they're still out there, and it's just like the people who worked on those games and created those experiences and see that stuff, like a lot of them like still work in the industry. They work for different companies now or whatever. You look like somebody like Ken Lobb, like he's perfect to be at Xbox because he's worked all over the place.
And he's got a gun named after him in GoldenEye.
Right, and he's got a gun named after him in one of the greatest video games of all time. And ever in the universe. And so it's interesting to it's interesting to see that that talent moves around there. And I don't think Xbox makes any big secret about letting them know that they have these these types of people. Like I remember, so this will date me a little bit, but I'll just tell you a quick story. So I met Ken Lobb one time on the Microsoft campus, and I knew of him. I knew who he was. I knew that he had the gun named after him in GoldenEye. And when he started talking, I immediately recognized his voice. And it was such a really, I don't even remember what he said to me or what we were talking about, what was spoken, because like in my mind, I'm just like thinking like, how do I know this guy? Like I've heard this voice, I've heard him talking, and I've never met him before, and I've never heard him speak. At least I didn't think I had. And it was just this ultra familiar feeling where I was just like taken aback for a second, trying to, not paying attention to what he's saying, trying to sort through my head, like all these different feelings of like, of nostalgia, not nostalgia, but like deja vu or something. Mm-hmm. And then I realized like it just kind of popped in my head. So back when Donkey Kong Country released on the Super Nintendo, Nintendo sent out a whole bunch of VHS tapes. Now, if those of you who are watching that don't know what a VHS tape is, Google it. But anyways, they sent out a whole bunch of VHS tapes that had like a 30-minute video of the developers for Donkey Kong Country, and they were in what they call the Treehouse, which is still a thing at Nintendo. And they basically did like a behind the scenes walkthrough of filming and interviews and all that stuff. And he was on that. He was on that DVD that I got when I was, you know, a young kid or a teenager or whatever. And that was the only time I'd ever watched it. Like, I don't know, like 20 years ago or something. And I just recognized his voice from like from that far ago. And like my whole opinion of him just completely changed as like this executive or this you know person who works at a video game company to someone who's dedicated, you know, their life to it. And I just couldn't believe that I recognized his voice. And I asked him, I was like, this is going to be really weird. I was like, but were you on a VHS tape that Nintendo sent out to Nintendo Power subscribers like way back in the early 90s? I was like, were you in that? And he's like, yeah. Like he remembered and started telling about it, you know. And I was just like, I was blown away. And that's the caliber of the people that are, you know, even not just at Microsoft, you know, but they're all still in the industry. But I feel like Microsoft is a little bit more known for having that level of talent. I mean, I know that level of talent exists in the other platforms and in the other spaces and indie and stuff, but Microsoft really has like a lot of them.
They got their finger on the pulse. I reckon they're more closer to they're gamers. Like, even the original Xbox, man, they just built the box that they wanted to play on. You know, like,
right.
I've always felt that way with Xbox. Like, I always, look, it doesn't look that pretty. It's not the smallest fucking thing. It's not the, you know what I mean? It doesn't look that good on your TV unit or whatever. But it's you know, it just, to me, it was the best. You know, like bringing internet, you know, the USB internet port to the back of the, you know, and all that sort of stuff. The Xbox Live servers, all that sort of shit. They're building what they want to play on, man. I always feel that way with Xbox.
Like made by gamers for gamers.
Yeah, made by gamers for gamers, not for the game. What's the PlayStation motto? Oh man, I don't even know. But for the gamer,
greatness
awaits. Oh, fuck
still waiting. I don't know.
Still waiting.
I mean, just some good games on there, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Like, yeah, Xbox.
Look, I'm not a fanboy or nothing, but I choose things that, like, you know, I'm in sales and I choose the best. You know, I don't care if everyone's playing. I don't care if it sold 60 million fucking consoles. I buy what is the best. I think as long as my friends are buying it. Like, if all my friends on Xbox Live now went out and bought a PS4 Pro, then maybe I'll go, oh shit, maybe I should swap over. But they're not. They're all playing Xbox still. You know, and like, yeah.
Well, you're quite akin. You're quite akin to going to with your taste. So obviously, Microsoft. You know, they.
Someone said I was a fanboy.
You love their taste. You come on, stick. You're a fanboy. No, you're not a neutral, are you? You're not a neutral, are you?
No, I just go where the sugar is.
Mooch knows about that. Yeah, but no, you just gravitate towards what you like, and Microsoft is it at the moment. So that's the thing. So.
If they brought out some fucking really good games on PlayStation, I'll go buy one. I'd have a bit of a battle with the missus. I'd be like, come on, you know, it's not just another, you know, it's a different console. It's a different. She'd be like, you've already got a video game player, you know. But,
one of the things I've always been confused on is we all sit here and we say, oh, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, I'm not going to grab Scorpio because it's going to be $400 or $500. And I said, can somebody please tell me, if you're going to argue that argument and you still say you're a gamer, that means you're playing this console 360 out of 365 days a year. What else are you doing for 27 cents a day, entertainment-wise? I mean, right? If you break down every 4 years for $500 or whatever, you know, it's between 27. Exactly. I did the math many podcasts ago. It was like a year ago. But I think a lot of people remember the old for 27 cents a day YouTube.
Yeah, I love it.
You know, my whole point is that there's nothing else that provides that entertainment. We recently took the kids. We went to go see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Okay, for a family to go see that with popcorn, with soda, with a thing of Twizzlers, okay? And then God forbid you go and get something to eat afterwards. Let's leave that part out. Let's just say the movie theater. Just the movie theater alone for a family of 4, you're well over $100. So my whole point is that, like, and that was 2 hours. So how can you tell me that something that's $400 that gives you 5 years? No. There's no way. The other thing, right? Now that we're staying in the same generation, according to the executives on both sides, Sony and Microsoft, you guys can be sure as shit. Day one, Scorpio, you could trade in your Xbox One S, and I'm going to almost guarantee that you're going to get $200 for that trade-in for the Scorpio upgrade, okay? Now you're talking about $200 to $300 for your Scorpio upgrade. That for 5 years is not worth your quote-unquote hard-earned money. I got news for you. You tell me as a gamer. See, that's the thing is people are like, I'm a gamer. And then I'm like, will you fork up $250 for 5 years? Hell no. What?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't hold water. You know, it just doesn't hold water. I don't care what hobby you have. I mean, there's people on Twitter right now, which are friends with all of us, that are like, oh my God, I went out last night and this and that. We were all, you go out at a bar with your friends, you're $80, $100 deep before, you don't even remember how you spent it. You know, I mean, you're hammered. So, I mean, you don't even have the memory. So it's like my point.
You're speaking to Australians here.
So when people start throwing out, how dare Microsoft and Sony put out mid-gen consoles that are better quality? What are you talking about? Listen, that means you're not a gamer. Why are you in the forum? You know, I don't understand this conversation. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you should just go throw $500 out your window. But then you're not in this group of people that are having this conversation. I'm not a car crazy. Right. I'm not a car nut, right? I'm not. So I don't go buy the crazy wheels and rims for my car. I don't care that I got stock rims. But there's people who are. I'm not going to show up to a car rally and be like, you guys blew $1,200 on rims? Sucker. Mine worked. They came with the car. You know, what? Like, why are you in this conversation, dude? You know, so like my whole thing is like, I don't understand. They're going to give us mid-gen or new gen looks like maybe every 4 years. And I think that's exciting. I think that's great.
Well, people update their phones. Like, they cost twice as much as a console. And they do that every year. I mean, this is every 4 years you're spending $500. But people spend $1,200 on an iPhone or an Android or whatever.
Take advantage of the trade-in, people. Take advantage. I walked into GameStop. I know people don't like GameStop, but I walked into GameStop. I brought my Wii U. I had the steering wheel. I had the Wii remote charger, 3 Wii remotes, and a handful of first-party games, which hold their value a little better on Nintendo. And I walked out. Okay, I traded all that in, and I walked out with a Switch and Zelda for $0 out of pocket. I mean, come on. So I upgraded because Wii U's dead, right? There's no back compat. It's like it's dead. We're not going to go play the 8 games we had for Wii U that were hardcore. I can just pick them all up on a digital sale at some point through the Switch. So upgrade. I walked out $0 out of pocket. Yes, I don't have the Wii U anymore, but people are going to Total Recall just to erase their Wii U memories. Okay, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh, you know what? You just made me feel good.
So don't say that, man. Youth will drop in the chat.
Oh, he's a Wii U guy. Okay.
No.
Apologies,
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So I have a question that I'll pose to the panel, and also hopefully someone maybe in the chat, because I don't know if anybody will know. But if you buy games digitally on, say, the Wii U, could you also now get those on the Switch? Because I don't think you probably could.
I think you got to rebuy them.
And I think this is another reason why I wish Reggie would just play a little Xbox. Just come on, dude. You know, like just play a little. Because I want Nintendo to do good, just because, like, you know, I love them like from when I was a kid. Like it's like you can't break up, you know. But
right.
I wish they would do this stuff, but I don't want to get too far away from the point that Mooch made about like going to the movies. Because I've been looking for a place to kind of bring this up and talk about it, and I think here's a perfect example. There was an interview that I watched, and I don't even dare guess how old it was. I want to say maybe when the first Gears came out. I'll tweet it out if you guys. I'll tweet it out a little bit later, and I'll tag the podcast in it or whatever so they can retweet it. But there's a video of an interview with Cliff Bleszinski, Cliffy B, where he was talking about how much games cost. And it was interesting to get his take on it. I'm curious to know even if he still feels that way. But he was talking about comparing game to movies. Like when you look at how much movies cost to make versus how much games cost to make, and then you look at what movies do in the industry, and you look at what games do in their industry or whatever. But when you go to buy one, the brand new best movie ever is 15 at the time or whatever, 15 or $20 on DVD. But then the game is like $50 or $60 if you bought the game. Even if it was a game of a movie, usually it's like $50 or $60. And he kind of throws out some different points about like, why can't we get games, to be that accessible as movies and film are, considering it's, they're both entertainment. And so I just wondered what you guys, I guess, what you thought about, like, I feel like games could all be $20 and not have to be the $100, that they're working on now. Like, would they sell more?
Let's make a quantity over quality discussion just in general, right? Though, I mean, here's my thing, Scratch. If you walk into your local liquor store, I guarantee you they're selling more of the squeeze bottle vodka than the Grey Goose, right?
Goonbag.
So the question is, and this is, I think, what it boils down to, and tell me if I'm interpreting it wrong, because I did read what Cliffy B said. He was wondering how they were going to be able to sustain this for as long as they're going. My thing is this. Yes, I do think that there is something to be said for the $20, $30 market for these games instead of $60. And I was a huge advocate for what I'm about to say, but I've taken my words back recently because I do understand that the brick and mortar stores hold a huge cloud over Microsoft and Sony. We could very easily be getting all of these games on day one for $40. But the problem is that the brick and mortar stores can't afford to do that and match them. So the minute you start taking these games and reducing them to the $40 level, which is very accessible and very easy and very financially profitable for Microsoft and Sony digitally, Walmart and Best Buy and GameStop, these guys need to have the price higher. That being said, you're probably saying, well, Mooch, who cares? We're talking about games. The problem is that those brick and mortar stores currently sell all of their consoles. Yep. So the thing is that they can't go. What you are noticing, though, I think everyone should take notice to this. Everybody, just keep an eye on Prey. Let's use Prey as an example, and this might backfire, but it's a good example because it just came out. Prey's still $60. In 3 weeks, I bet you that bad boy's on sale for $49, and 3 weeks after that, it's on sale for $39 on one of these, blast out 25% off sales digitally. So what Microsoft and Sony are doing they're saying, listen, we cannot, I repeat, we cannot offend the brick and mortar stores at all. But at the same time, we do have to understand that we make a lot more money if we sell this thing digitally. So what they're doing is they're giving the brick and mortar a 2 to 4 week run time, which is generally when a lot of when a new game comes out, that's the spike.
Yeah.
Let the spike go out physically, because if they want it, they want it. But then after that, it's our world. And I think the brick and mortar seems to be okay with it. The day that brick and mortar, to be honest, because here's the thing, guys, how many Microsoft stores are there out there? 5 within 6 states? They can't sell all the Xbox One Scorpios they want in 5 stores. They need this. They need this visibility in the brick and mortar. Yeah. So I think that's what's handcuffing us to a $60 price tag.
I think it's slowly gonna go away in terms of, because like with the internet and the onset, like the brick and mortar point like would work. I mean, it still works today because it's what you described is still accurate. But I think also that you could know everything there is to know about a game without leaving your basement, to coin the gamer stereotype. You know what I mean? Like, you had to get a little sunlight a couple of years ago, 10 years ago, if you wanted to get out and find out what the games were, because there weren't so much, like the brick and mortar, like, I think, well, if you go to Walmart or Target or something like that, I mean, their gaming section is next to nothing. They're slowly just getting to the point where they have like just the AAA games, a couple of small deals that they probably already have deals with the distributors on those games, and then the console, and that's it. Like, you can't really go into a store. You can in like GameStop, but we know how they're doing. But you can't really go into a store anymore and discover things that you don't know about if you're paying attention online. Less and less. I mean, it's still true. I think it's still true. I think they still need to maintain the brick and mortar store relationship, but just like just like television with things like
Blockbuster video.
Netflix and things like that. I mean, you're getting to the point where I don't need to watch commercials. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
man.
I'm paying.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people who pay like $150 a month, you know, for DirecTV, and they watch commercials. And it's only a matter of time before they're like, I'm just going to buy every
Netflix.
single streaming service and
Pirate
pay
Bay.
like maybe $100 or $80 and have Amazon, YouTube Red, Netflix, all of those for way less money and never look at an ad. Like, why am I paying if I'm looking at an ad? If I'm looking at an ad, you know what I mean? And people, I think it's just a matter of like I think we're there now, but I think not everybody else is there. You know, like we have the ability to not need to go to GameStop to learn about stuff. GameStop will suffer.
Educating the GameStop employees more than they educate you.
Right. I mean, GameStop will suffer, but Walmart's just going to put in an extra row of a few TVs and call it a day. Like I don't know that it really matters, like Amazon, Walmart, and those places, because they're just going to fill in the space with something else. Like they already have it.
They're on the way out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But in order to get their name out, I think you're right. I mean, they could maybe start paying. TV ads will still have to be a thing. But like even with Amazon, like I can pre-order a game and like sometimes it'll come a day before it releases,
right.
because of the shipping thing.
And I mean, people are going to bring up the issues, but there weren't a lot of issues. Mass Effect Andromeda is a good game. And Mass Effect Andromeda was just on sale last week for $39. I mean, it's only been about 6-7 weeks since it came out. So a lot of people always say, hey, Mooch, you're going to play, especially when this is the way I think, okay? Once we get right around April, there's usually between February and April, whether it be Xbox or it be Sony, a huge AAA has been coming out, and so you grab that. That's fine. But after that, we all kind of work on our backlog games, and maybe there's one new game coming out, but it's not a mega blockbuster. And for me, it was Mass Effect. There was other things. I wanted Prey. I knew that was coming. I knew I wanted to get through the BioShock collection, which I got through 1 and 2 already. It was things I wanted to accomplish in my backlog. I still have to go back and finish. But I'm going to pick up Mass Effect Andromeda for either $40 or $30 in like June. And I'm going to enjoy the crap out of it. But the thing is, we all know that these sales are coming down the pipe now digitally. So that's why I think you're seeing a lot of – that's why when you see people be like, this game didn't do so well, it's like, well, why don't you wait a little while? Because I'm pretty sure it's going to do really well in about 3 to 4 months.
We're definitely getting into a space. I see more in the last year and a half, especially like if I put up, new gameplay footage of a game, and I'll talk about like how good it is, or if I'm streaming it and I talk with the viewers and stuff. A common theme I see more and more and more and more is I'm gonna wait for a sale.
Yes.
Yep.
Like that seems to be really coming, sooner. And I think that if they just would go ahead and just release it on launch day at what the sale price would be, so like $30-$40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to see us get to a place where, a game is like $30 or $40 with, the $20, season pass or whatever, and then work my way up to getting every possible thing and spending, maybe $70 instead of like $120, like some of the newer AAA games are. Like, I think the base price of the game could definitely stand to come out. And I can't remember, someone in the chat had mentioned, I think it was Sobsky, had talked about, I want to find it so I don't. I think, when gaming is fully digital, I think it'll get substantially cheaper. And I think that's true. A lot of gamers now are fully digital, but I think me personally, I just expected to see like a quicker drop, and like I don't remember paying $120 for the ultimate mega.
But do you reckon that's why prices haven't gone up? Because the prices haven't gone up for a long time on games. So maybe they're making because games are cheaper for them to make on digitally, so they haven't increased the price. So Well, we're making 43% increase, I think it was in the States on digital games. So they're making more money on games secretly in a way, like it's like, okay, well, we don't have to really put prices up on the physical because we're making it up on the digital.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, and
Well, how do
digital's
you
a
guys
better
feel?
product.
How do you guys feel though? Like, I'll give you an example. Just this past week, right? I went and bought Prey. I paid $60 for it. I'm not going to lie to you. A part of me felt taken because I know in 2 weeks that game I could probably get it for 45 or whatever. I'm just saying, like, these things are coming now. It's not like before you were like, well, you're not really sure, Mooch, that might not happen. No, as sure as like tomorrow's going to be Sunday and we know that that's going to happen. So now it's ultimately, me, myself personally, I feel it's a bit of due diligence. I mean, I don't think it's fair for me to come on podcasts and give an opinion on something unless I've played it. I mean, if somebody says to me, hey, I know you haven't played it, but what do you think? That's different. I mean, everyone can do that there's tons of Let's Plays now on Twitch and on YouTube. There's tons of stuff to be able to visibly watch it, but you do have to sometimes play the game. Prey's definitely one of those games where you have to play it. But I mean, I think that I went out and I paid the $60 because I said, listen, I'm going to be on a lot of different shows in the next 2 weeks. And I know that because Prey and Injustice are the only two new games really coming out for the foreseeable future, I think Prey will be talked about for quite some time, at least a 3-4 week run. So that being said, I felt like I had a due diligence being on a podcast. But I could see if I was just Joe Blow Gamer, I don't really, even if I wanted, I don't think I needed to run out and go grab that right now. And I think that's what Scratch is talking about. He'd like to see what happens at $40. I think you're going to see the sales kind of blow up. Especially on a single player game, because it's not like you got to rank up with your friends, like multiplayer, you got to, they're going to be ahead of me, like they're going to have better guns, they're going to have this. So in a single player game, you may as well just wait. And I agree.
I think it goes back to what we said before as well. We've got such big backlogs now as well. We just keep accumulating all these games. I need time. I don't need more games. I just need time to play the games I already have. So sometimes I just hold off.
And it's an expensive hobby as well, isn't it? So common knowledge, internet power. Like we said and Scratch said, we know these games are going to drop in price after a few weeks. So why not, with the backlogs that we have, especially with this generation, why not just wait that extra month or two? Unless you are doing what we're just doing, like with the podcast and you need to have that sort of hands-on knowledge. But why not, like for the normal casual gamer, why not just wait a few extra weeks and save 20 to 25%? And
that's right.
And digital sales are a lot more popular these days. I don't care what people say. I mean,
I don't think we're hurting the industry by saying that, because if we were, they wouldn't be religiously. They're doing this like systematically and by calendar now. I mean, you can count on it. Like I say, like the sun rises in the east. You can just say, okay, in 3 to 4 weeks, this new title. I mean, the only game that has had the audacity to keep such a high price is GTA 5, right? That's because GTA 5 is still in the top 10, top 5 every single month in the NPD and UK, I believe. So, I mean, it's just that warrants that price tag. When you're good, I guess. Yeah. But a lot of games have all dropped in price almost over. It feels like overnight in the gaming world.
Yeah, it does.
Speaking of the top 5.
Yeah.
I can run the top 5 and then I can go have a smoke.
What are they?
Top 5, man.
I'll run the top 5 quickly.
Is this global or Australian?
Nah, it's Australian top 5 that we do.
Yep. Okay, run it.
This week's Australian top 5 selling games across all platforms. Physical only. New to the top 5 and straight to number 1. AFL Evolution. True Blue Entertainment. Also new and in second place. Prey 2017 Bethesda Softworks. Third, Mario Kart, Nintendo. Fourth place, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon. Wildlands, Ubisoft. Staying in fifth place, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Nintendo. Dropping out of the top 5, Horizon Zero Dawn and Sniper Ghost Warrior 3.
Nice, interesting. I'm actually interesting to hear.
Go to bed, Doug.
Well, it probably makes sense. AFL game being number 1 for the week, being one of the premier sports.
Yeah.
In Australia, I could understand that one. Zelda still holding. As they say, Zelda was still holding its own still. That's pretty good.
Yeah, still in top 5,
It's-
but GTA
Is that
dropped
number
out.
5?
GTA dropped.
Maybe everybody
After 5 years.
finally, after 5 years, everybody finally has that copy of that game.
There's no more people on Earth they can sell it to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
sorry
that just
about that.
that goes
Sorry
back to
about
our
that.
earlier point. AFL releases and goes straight to the top.
Yeah.
What we were talking about before. I think it was Mooch was asking about, you know, the games like, are you a Halo guy or whatever? Like,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good. It's interesting that's the case.
Yeah.
AFL.
Horizon Zero Dawn finally dropped out of the top 5 too. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Ghost Recon stays in.
Ghost Recon still in. Yeah,
That's had a great run.
I love that game. I got to finish it.
Is that a single player game? I thought it was.
Ghost Recon, Wildlands. Yeah.
PvP's coming out, I think, soon.
Yeah,
PvP.
it's single player or 4 players cooperatively, and it's kind of like
PvP's coming out. Yeah.
it's kind of like, I kind of liken it to, it's a little bit like Grand Theft Auto in terms of like openness and like what you can do. Like there's not a set path. Like basically you're just put into Bolivia. There's a there's a drug war going on in Bolivia, and you're sent there with a team of 4 people, and like right from the beginning, like you can just go anywhere you want in this map. It literally took me like close to 20 minutes to fly corner to corner across the map.
Jeez.
In one of the planes in the game or whatever. I had to start over because I got shot down once, but
the
that doesn't include the shoot down part.
Yeah.
It's insane. And you could just kind of do whatever. It's really open. It's a blast, and you can play with up to 4 people cooperatively, or like they said, I'm not surprised that's still in the top 5. I think
it's been there for like 8 weeks.
Yeah, since release it's been there. Yeah.
It seems to be it's almost like people talk about the game walking on eggshells, and the only reason I say that is it had a huge spike when it first came out. I saw it everywhere. I saw people on my games friends list playing it. And now I see it sporadically, almost like I like to say, like what happened to The Division. It's like Ubisoft almost has this curse. The Division was just everywhere, right, Scratch? And then it just slowly started to trickle till it was out of dandelion spurs. Like it just ended with nothing.
I think the difference with this one and the problem with The Division for me was just simply the fact that that I play with a couple of my friends, and like we have like a group of us that play these types of games like from Ubisoft, and we were playing, and with The Division is like if they want to play when I'm not playing, then they're going to progress, and like I'm behind now, and it's like me with Destiny, it's like, okay, you guys are playing 3 times a week, I'm playing 2 times a week, and that one day that you get to play that I don't, you're just edging so far ahead of me, so that when I get to play with you, it's okay, you guys go first, and I'll just take pot shots back here because the level of the characters are way too tall or way too big, or whatever. So that was kind of the problem with The Division for me. Like I really liked it, and I mean it's a really good game, and I get why it's popular. But just from a standpoint of playing with my friends, the friends that I want to play with, I could play with anybody, right, and not have this problem. But the friends that I wanted to play with, like they would get ahead of me, and like that's where I was kind of
the thing they did wrong.
But they don't do that in Ghosts.
Well, that's good to know. Mathematically, what they did wrong in The Division was they catered to the highest common denominator, which they shouldn't do. And that's where Destiny does it right and Division did it wrong. Okay, so what happens is if you go in your level, I'm making this up, but you're level 12, okay? You're only, your light level is irrelevant at that, but you're level 12, and I'm a maxed out Destiny character. I'm 440, 400 light and 40 level, and I go into your game. Guess what? All the characters are at your level. At the 12, meaning you can play. What The Division did wrong was I played, but I didn't jump to 30 overnight. Okay, I have to go to work and do things. So I went and I played with some of the people I know that played it in like 2 days, got to 30. All of a sudden, they're in my game, but because they came into my game, the enemies ranked up to their level. So they know what they said to me? Mooch, just hang back. You just stay over there by the cop car and squat down. We'll take care of this and you'll level up. Who the hell wants to come home from a long day to game and you just hang out in the corner? So I was like, this is not, this is done ass backwards. And that was one of the things that turned off. I think, remember, you have a lot of casual, a lot of new people. You might go, well, Mooch, it was only until you get to 30. Then once you get to 30, you were even with everybody. Kinda. The other thing was this. Nobody wants to do long division at 11 p.m. They were like, hey, Mooch, you ready to go take on this one excursion or something? We're going to go take this thing out. It's like, okay, yeah. Hey, by the way, is your level at 7,500,000 yet or no? I'm like, no, I'm at 89,000. Oh, okay. Well, how many commas are you going to put in the level up or an XP system? So the numbers were too great. It was ridiculous. Like, you're sitting there and you're looking at your guns and you're like, well, what's your gun at? Well, my gun's at 11,000. Oh, I'm at 7,300. Shit. What? Like, how about like 1 through 10? Whatever happened to 1 through 10?
Yeah.
So
it's the only game where you'd stop playing and you'd be still like, okay, guys, I'm going to bed, and you'd be there for like another hour, ranking up your guns and stuff. Like
you need to schedule time just to inventory manage stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of us don't have time for that. I hate all that customization and all this leveling up in games. Sort of frustrates me a little bit. I just like to get into a game and just.
It's like you said, Mooch. Destiny got it right in that way, because if you were the one who was leveled less, your mate who was leveled a lot higher would just come in and help you, and then you would just level faster.
Yes, but you were still able to play the game.
But you were still able to play the game. Yeah.
That you always have to cater to the lowest common denominator. That's not just gaming. That's the way everything works through society. You can't just put everything at the highest echelon or somebody. Like, imagine if you went to a gym and they only started weights at 380 pounds. Sorry, we don't have any 5-pound dumbbells. You should be at this level. Oh, my bad. You know what I mean?
I'll just leave. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Mega knows what I'm talking about.
You can say Mega.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's a pretty good analogy. I mean, you just can't.
It is.
You have to go to the lowest common denominator, and that was one of the things that really kind of broke my heart about Division, because I was excited about it.
October.
They did that gun drop but where your teammates could drop equipment for you. They brought that in.
I feel like the standard was set October 2009 when Borderlands released. Yes. Every multiplayer game should handle multiplayer for those types of games like Borderlands did. Like, they should just straight up rip it off, copy it, use it in every single one, and make it a standard. Because you could jump, now with Borderlands, I understand, like, you could jump in, like to somebody who's like on a higher level and they could kill like 2 characters and you jump up like 10 levels if you just start a new character. But it just made it more like, and even with Borderlands 2 and the other ones, they've done the same thing, but it just makes it so much more accessible, for those things. And like the thing that, to circle back onto Ghost Recon, the thing that they have done to create that is that the levels are the same for every player from the moment that you start a brand new game and hop in a vehicle and drive all the way to the north and try to take down, some base or something. It's going to be just as hard. That the enemies are just as hard in the beginning of the game as they are towards the end of the game. The difference towards the end of the game is you just have, it's not your level or anything. You've just collected better equipment. But if you jump into somebody's game and you're like, oh, I don't have that scope or I don't have that sniper rifle, where'd you get it? They'd be like, oh, I got it over here. Let's go. I'll help you take down the base and then you can have the scope. And then then you're even again, without, and it just kind of circumvents the whole leveling system. Is why I think I got into Ghost Recon. It was why I think Wildlands might even be doing better than the Division, is just because of that level of accessibility for, not to have to, I guess.
What would you say, Scratch? What would you say to somebody listening right now, or if even somebody just was talking to you on one of your shows or your streams, and they go, "Okay, I don't have that game. I want to jump in head first right now," and you guys are way ahead of me. And I think you touched on it, but I mean, do you think that player could really give you the entertainment you're looking forward to playing a few hours with a newbie? And would that newbie feel overwhelmed being with somebody at your level? Because let's be honest, if anybody leaves this podcast and goes and picks that game up, that's the customer I'm talking about right now. They're going to be like, well,
Right.
I'm on which side of the quarter am I on here?
Yeah, I definitely don't think I'd comfortably say that I don't think anybody would be disappointed. I don't notice like an ability differences, like if I play with like with new people or whatever in that game. Now in the division there could be, but at the same time I think with the division, though, even though people who have put, hundreds of thousands of hours in it, they're still they love the game, obviously, right? So they probably wouldn't mind like starting over a new character. Some of them probably have, several characters and playthroughs anyways, for them to come back and play it. So I think it would be two very different scenarios, but I feel like both of them would be welcoming, and probably more welcoming maybe in the Ghost Recon edge of things, just simply because there's really no curve or barriers between veteran players and brand new players. Like if you jumped into my game right now, we could take about 20 or 30 minutes and I could take you around the map and we could go raid a few places and grab a few of the good weapons, and you'll be just as effective sniping as I am.
And that's refreshing to hear, I think, for a lot of people.
You might not be, you won't be a ringer in like every situation. Like my character, for example, like I can take down, I've got different tools and different things to stop vehicles, take down convoys, stuff like that. Those types of tools you're going to have to level up to get them. But to be a meaningful part of the foursome, like whether it be with sniping or support fire or scouting or something, like literally like 15 minutes or whatever, we could get somebody into a sniper role or some sort of
up to speed,
up to some sort of a speed, so where they can at least fill some role. They might not be able to fill all the roles, but they'll be important to the team, and it won't feel like we're just carrying this guy. You don't understand. He just got it. Like I wouldn't have to like go into my other two friends that we're playing with and like apologize to them because I want to get my brother up to speed. You know what I mean? Like they probably wouldn't even know if I didn't say anything, or if they didn't have questions. Because the gameplay is that good, and I think that's why you see it up towards the top.
I agree.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I remember I played the division with GKB one day, and he was like level 30, and I was like level 8. And I never felt like a third wheel before, but I just felt like I just felt totally useless.
Yeah, actually, when you just said that, Meg, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, well, what did you eat while you were playing? What did you do? Because you didn't have to play.
Yeah, well,
you couldn't.
Well, he said what you said. He said to me, look, just hang back at the back. Pop your head out every now and then and just have a snipe. And every time I did that, I'd be knocked down, and he'd come over and like revive me or whatever, And I said, dude, I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to let you level me up. I just felt so useless playing the game with someone who was, 3 times my level. It was just like ridiculous. So it was fun leveling up, obviously, but it was useless.
I defended the whole bullet sponge thing for quite some time with that game. I said, listen, that's just the way they designed it. Whether you're sitting there hitting a force field in another game forever and then it breaks down, or you're hitting this. But the problem is that as you continue to play the game and you're actually shooting a machine gun at an enemy that is exactly the same stature as yourself, and yet he's taking 7,000 rounds. You're like, wait a minute, something, because listen, we're going to make this feel real. We're going to make the environment so real. We're going to have like things happening in the world that make it feel like you're really there. But then when another human being comes up against you, he's going to eat bullets for breakfast. And you're like, wait, what happened here? I thought we were staying in the real world here. No, we're not. We're leaving. Okay. So like, it was a lot going on. And I don't know. I mean, all this talk, all it really does is, I'm a Destiny fan. I haven't been playing it as of late because, to be honest with you, Destiny 2 is just in the gaming world right around the corner. So I'm very excited for Destiny 2 to pick up, and I will attack Destiny 2 the way that a lot of the hardcore Destiny 1 folks played it when I was playing it more casually because there was so many other games. There's a lot of games coming out this fall, but I will dedicate a lot of time to Destiny 2 because I think it's going to be a remarkable game.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Max, you were a massive Destiny fan, weren't you? Destiny and Division fan, weren't you?
I was a massive Destiny fan.
That was it.
I haven't put that much time into the Division. Yeah, I'm still not at max level, so I'm still going to put a bit more time into that to level up the character. But yeah, I was a big fan of Destiny. Well, still a big fan of Destiny. It's just the Crucible that shits me.
So Iron Banner is going on this weekend, which I always feel guilty not playing. It's a lot of fun, but the thing about Destiny 2, which I don't know if we're going to find out if they're going to do it or not, but they really need to make the Crucible 60 frames.
60 frames and dedicated servers.
Yeah, that needs to happen for Destiny. If that doesn't happen for Destiny 2, you've really got to just shake your head and ponder a bit at what's actually going on. I understand at 30 frames they can enhance the environment and make things look a little bit better, but I'd rather they looked like, I don't know, 60 frames in Gears of War 4 looks amazing on multiplayer. Absolutely amazing. So,
well, Destiny 2 is not on the last gen consoles anymore. So
that's
I'm
correct.
Expecting them to do 60 frames. If they don't, that's a mistake. If they don't,
I think
every other shooter really is.
Yeah.
So
look how good Halo 5 is. It's better frames per second than the actual graphical ability on that one is a little bit less, but it runs so smooth, and it's one of the best multiplayer games going.
Destiny 2 will be the only game of the big four, and when I say the big four, I mean Red Dead Redemption, Call of Duty, Battlefront, and Destiny. Destiny is the only one that'll be out before Scorpio launches, if you go by the rumor mill. So, but that being said, Bungie's definitely making this game so it's ready to rock and roll on the Pro and ready to rock and roll on the Scorpio.
Yeah.
So,
cool. I think they have the gameplay reveal next week.
Yes, May 18th, I believe. Correct. Yeah. Yes.
That'll be interesting to see what they do.
Looking forward to it too. I always get really excited for those reveals, and then it's a 2-hour event, and it's a minute and a half reveal of the game, and the rest is the developers telling you when they were 7 years old how they had a picture when they hit their head, they saw the flux capacitor, and they were like, "Wait, when I get older, I want to create Destiny 2." So it's a lot of that, but it is what it is. I'm still looking forward to it.
When I get older, I want to create Destiny 2 and sell you 5 expansion packs on top of it. So you get the whole game.
Yeah. You know what I mean? They did that for the Call of Duty reveal. They're like, here's the Call of Duty reveal. And actually what I just found out is the lead developer likes French toast in the morning. But regardless, that's fine.
You are fucking unreal. You guys crack me up.
He just comes out of nowhere sometimes.
I thought he went to bed, man. Hey, J-Dub's just released your new avatar, Mooch, on Twitter too. The Mooch Spy versus Spy theme.
Oh yeah.
Let me see. How come I'm always the last to see it?
I'll put a link in the chat.
Oh, that was my that was actually that's not my new one. Yeah, that was my very, very first, because I said to him, he goes, "What do you want it to be?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm a Mooch. So make it so like I'm actually pickpocketing something." And so he made this.
Spy versus Spy, Commodore 64. I remember that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I thought you said because I did ask him to make my new. Now I have the gamer pick, the custom gamer pick ability in the preview program. So I asked him to just modify my thing. I asked him to tweak my logo a little so I could put it on Xbox Live. So you're like, it's out there. I'm like, well, that's great that he put it everywhere before I've even seen it. But not that I would really care. But it's
too funny.
That's cool.
That's cool. What do you reckon, guys? We probably kept you guys long enough. You probably want to get to your. I'm surprised your kids aren't snapping around your heels there. So we're gonna.
Their friends are all over, so they're occupied temporarily.
Busy, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Well, we got to our first topic, which is the top 5, so that's pretty cool.
Somebody goes, "I can't believe Doug podcast is going this long." I said, "I take full responsibility. There's never been a Mooch." I think whenever I have Scratch, I have to give Scratch a 3-week notice because he has to cancel any friends' wedding plans, any birthday parties.
We've been talking about doing a marathon episode for like 5 hours or 6 hours. We're going to do it
just to catch up on all the topics.
Introducing Youth Nukem and Luca into the chat.
You should do a podcast. Do a podcast where you say you're not going to finish until you get through every backlog topic you have.
That's a great idea, actually.
And we want all the Xbox community to drop in it for at least 5-10 minutes each time. Like everyone that's on Twitter, that's
crazy.
You know
do a fraction.
You know the big group, Like just get everyone to pop in every now and then and just have a bit of a chat.
Well, we're thinking about doing something. We don't know yet. We're thinking about doing Beam, getting away from YouTube, just doing a party chat, Xbox party chat, maybe playing poker, and streaming on.
Great
Beam.
idea.
That's what we're thinking about doing. So
I'm in for that because I'll tell you, and I don't want to go. I don't want to open a new segment, but if anyone's ever listening, and if Scratch, if you ever could throw this into the thought pool, if you're talking to anybody, I miss Full House Poker so much from 360. And I know they're coming back with a huge Avatar thing. That would be so great.
Yeah,
I love that game. Loved it.
Everyone
that and 1 versus 100.
Yes. Bring those two back, and I'll never ask for another, Microsoft enabled Avatar game again. I loved it to death.
Yeah, it's that 1 versus 100, and then the other one is the theater mode or whatever for like Netflix.
For Netflix,
like where you could like get it like party chat mode for Netflix, like where you guys could you could watch something on Netflix and start it at the same time and then be like in party chat or whatever.
Very cool. Yeah. I missed that so much. Like Full House Poker was just a great way. Whenever I used to get done with even like 2-3 hours of gaming, I would just flip over to that, go play a couple hands of poker, and you're sitting at the table and the conversations that these people are having at the table with Xbox Live. I mean, I can't even say it on the air. It was ridiculous. People are just like, it's like you're really in Vegas. I mean, people are letting their one person was just having a bad day. Let's put it that way. It was like, wow. Woo! It was really like 3 a.m. in Vegas. So yeah, if anyone can bring that back, Mooch would be.
We're thinking about it because we could still upload the episode to YouTube. We just download it and upload it. So, it's on Xbox. We're Xbox gamers, so party chat. People can join. So
awesome.
we're thinking about doing it. So.
And then plus you have with the overlay, you'll get the voices popping up. When that update comes out and everybody has it, you have the voices popping up, so you'll be able to see like who's talking. Yeah. Depending on how you're streaming, though, to Beam. I might
do it through Beam, man, on the Xbox.
If you do Beam through Beam on the Xbox, I wonder if the party chat overlay shows up on the stream.
True, yeah.
Because I feel like that would be somewhat important.
Yeah, it would be, yeah.
Simply because, like, if somebody starts going off about some, stupid opinion, just kidding, I'm kidding. But, like, if somebody starts going off about something or says something, like, I don't want them, you wouldn't want somebody to be like, oh, yeah, that was Stick that said that, They don't know.
Man,
you know what I mean? And then now you're...
If anyone can take the blame for my comments, I'll be happy.
You find right, and now you're on the, now you're on the front page of, Kotaku or whatever for some comment that you didn't even make.
No one listens to those guys anyway, man. So don't worry about it.
Right.
That's cool.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, we're thinking about doing it. Like, we've got a podcast coming up on Tuesday. We've got UK Daz and Gaming Forever on Tuesday. They're coming in. UK Daz has actually got a tournament in the Mortal Kombat tournament, which is pretty cool. Everyone's doing a lot of streaming lately. I noticed, Mooch, you were doing some streaming on Gears of War last night, like obviously on your Beam. But yeah, like it's pretty cool. Everyone's doing a lot of streaming now. So we've got the Mortal Kombat tournament. UK Daz versus Iceman, who's a bit of an unknown contender. So my money's on UK Daz. He's in the chat right now. That's at 7 a.m. UK time. So,
well, who's got the most achievements out of those guys?
He's got 1,500.
They're the real gamers.
Right.
Well, Scratch. Just before we do wrap things up, Scratch, you were talking about the Netflix, where we could stream it and all watch it together. Would that possibly work with different countries? Like, as us in Australia, we get things a little bit later than you guys. So, if there was something that was just released out over there, is there a potential us Aussie guys could jump in and watch it earlier?
I'm going by memory, but I believe you both had to have a Netflix subscription and both had to have access to the content, I think.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think you could just hop in to watch because Netflix wants to make sure that you have the licensing in place to be able to watch it. So, no, you'd both have to have it. That's why I think the key thing that Scratch had mentioned in remembering that ability before was you'd have to start it at the same time. So, we'd say, okay, let's hit start. We'll get this thing going. Bang, we're both watching the movie at the same time, and then we were able to join the party together and coexist in that same theater scene. Yeah.
Cool. And I missed that. I missed that too.
That was cool. That was very cool. I know. There's some of the neat little things we all took for granted as they disappeared. We were talking about it on Crossfire last night. Yeah. I'm hoping picture-in-picture comes back because I understand that Snap wasn't huge. I didn't use Snap either because it took up 25% of your TV. But a picture-in-picture for TV or any other thing, any other use is a tremendous feature.
I'd love to picture-in-picture Beam. Like imagine playing Beam, like you and your buddy playing a single-player game. And you both beam stream into each other and playing a single player game together and like going through the levels, that'd be pretty cool.
Yes.
Especially with the sub-second delay, like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you could be like, let's start this game, man. Let's go. Let's do it,
Yeah.
So.
But, yeah, there was something I was going to say about that. No, I can't think of what it was. No, it wasn't that. I was thinking while you were talking, and then it just kind of blew. Oh, yes, I know what it was. So like when you get like talking about taking out the snapping or whatever because it takes up like 25% of the TV, and as I understand it took up quite a bit of resources and things as well. Now that they don't have it, but like it kind of essentially, and I made a video about it, it kind of essentially broke the Twitch app. But they could easily just update the Twitch app if Twitch would want to do that. I don't know if they will, or to my knowledge, they haven't yet. But when you look at like what the capabilities of some of the other, apps that are out there like Beam, like having the overlay, like they can overlay your Connect camera on your stream so that you can watch Connect while you're watching Beam. Like I feel like they could add that functionality in. Like it's doable in other, like they're doing it right now in other apps, for example. Like with the party chat overlay, and overlay is supported obviously because you can overlay like your achievements. You have the overlay of talking, your party chat or whatever popping up. So it only makes sense that like these other companies could see you later, Noof. But it only makes sense that these other companies could, create apps or experiences that also utilize some sort of overlay feature to get that back, to have like a picture-in-picture. So hopefully we'll see that going forward.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Because I always thought they were just going to revamp that whole thing, like it took up so much of the screen, like Mooch was saying, and they just took it away completely, it was like, wow, okay. I just want it to be better.
Yeah, I think they can make, and they're doing it with the overlay, like Scratch just said, they're doing it in other technology on the machine. So I think, short of not knowing what the actual resources pull, I think it's something that is very feasible that can come back in a picture-in-picture mode. Be very cool to have that.
I used to watch sports, man. I used to watch sports. I didn't really use it for anything other than sports. Your football team was playing, so you'd like play a game and you could watch it in the corner and listen to the commentary and stuff. So yeah, I would like to see it back.
I'm down.
For sure.
Yeah, and Black Rider's right. Scorpio will have the resources to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Cool.
But if they do it for Scorpio, they got to do it for all, right, Scratch? Because they can't.
Yeah, maybe in the first year.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I hate that whole leave anyone behind thing. We're not in the killing fields of Vietnam. Let's just fucking
So true.
So true. You want a new game? Buy a fucking Scorpio. If you don't, just play your Xbox One. But yeah, that's just me.
Yeah,
I think VR, but like not to get into a whole nother topic, but I think VR is going to definitely be something that will be exclusive on Scorpio. So.
Yeah, that might be just from hardware limitations.
Yeah, well, they definitely can't do that on the Xbox One, can they? So, I think was it Battlefront 2 is going to have VR, more VR. Like it was a PSVR had like a level or something. I think they're going to bring more of it into Battlefront, the Star Wars game. So the next one, there's going to be more VR aspects to it. So hopefully Scorpio jumps all over that.
I want VR horror games. I might get some on my PC because I've recently started streaming with a heart rate monitor.
Yeah, I've seen that, man.
I'd like to see. I don't know if you guys saw that. I know I put it in the chat. Like that is so much fun. Like I'm curious to know like what that would do with VR. 131 is my record. I got up to 131 because I about.
Who needs to exercise?
What game was that?
Play horror games.
What game was that?
I was playing Outlast, and it was weird because like
that guy was chasing you.
I put a video up, but I'll just tell you about it so you don't have to go look at it. But I was trying to get away from this dude, and I was pretty sure, like, I'm like, okay, I fooled him. Because you have to kind of go, you have to kind of go out of your way. And, like, it's really like a sneaking game. In Outlast, I'm going to probably play Outlast 2 eventually. But in Outlast, like, you don't have any weapons. Like, it's literally like, stuff is after you. And if you get discovered, like, you just have to run. And so like the anxiety level is so high all the time because like you can't kill anything. You're not fast. You're not strong. Like you just rely on like just being sneaky, quick, and closing doors behind you to slow your pursuers down. And so I thought I had just gotten like away from this guy. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I fooled him. I'm out of the way. Even if he discovers me now, all I have to do is run. And so I jump over the thing, and like as I'm walking down the hallway, here he is. He's gone through a door that I couldn't open, but he smashed it open. So I'm like, oh my God. And so I turn around and I run back the other way. And the scariness comes from the fact that like I've now got to figure out, well, what way am I going to go if I can't go? If I can't go the way that he is, because that's where I was trying to go. So like you feel lost instantly. And so I was like, I don't know. I think I hit maybe hit like 110 or something. While I was running away from him, maybe 120, 121, I guess. I think it was. Yeah. And I got to a point where I thought I was away from him. And so I calmed down for a minute. So it's completely unexpected. And then they had this jump scare, and I felt a little bit like Stein. Like I totally look back at like when Stein fell out of his chair. Like I get it now. Like I picked on him. We talked about it. Like I would even see him, and like the first thing I would do, like when we talk about streaming, is like start smiling and laughing about that. And like he punches me, tells me shut up or something like that. And then I scared him on one of our streams, and so that just added to it because like him and I were streaming together, and I got him to yell shit on the stream for Microsoft Studios official channel, which was pretty funny. And we always joked about that. And then the other night, like it just all kind of came around full circle to me, and I'm like, okay, I get it now. That was scary as hell. And I almost did the same thing. I have sides on my chair, so I didn't fall off, but I think I probably would have if I didn't.
It is scary. I'm in the first little part of that game, and if I know whether the rest of the panel have played it, Mooch on it, or Max or Stick, but if you like a scary, it is a jump scare game where you've got no weapons, you feel useless, and the idea of the game is basically just to get away from people.
I can't find the key card, man.
Hiding under beds, hiding in lockers. Well, there was one part there, Scratch. I think it was down in the sewer area, and I had to turn on some generators or something.
Yes.
I thought, you really need to know the layout of the game, like where the level is, like where to go, and there's little cracks in the walls and little things to jump over. I actually thought I got away from the guy as well, and I was actually hiding. And I don't know how he did, but he walked straight past me, and then he just picked me up. He just started beating me. I was just like, so scared.
Right.
And I was just I can't play this. It's scary, man.
It's high anxiety.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and it's worse too because you can't actually kill anyone. The only way to do things is to get away from them. So
yeah, you're so vulnerable.
Yeah, and you feel so sluggish when you're running, and you just got, and unless you know the level outlay, it is pretty scary.
Yeah, I want more people to start streaming with heart rate monitors because I want to compare. Like right now, it's just me. Well, it's not just me, but like not a lot of people are doing it. But like I want my friends to do it, like people that I can go watch other people do it on YouTube or whatever. But like I want my friends to do it so like we can compare. I'm actually going to start. I think I'm going to start doing like videos or whatever, like where I'll rate a game based on where my heart rate got to. Like I hit 120 when I didn't get play the game on on Overwatch yesterday on my Xbox Ambassador stream. I should have had it. I killed 5 people. It looked awesome. I was like, there it is. I finally got. Because I don't think I've only gotten like maybe 1 or 2.
Wow. Yeah.
That was cool. It was like a nice little short video, you know. Like I chucked on, it was like 3 minutes. It was like just a bit of a laugh, man, during the day. So that was cool.
Yeah.
But go play out.
I was scared. My heart rate was going.
Like imagine heart rate monitors on like CrossFire podcasts. Like when people get
somebody would proclaim me dead.
Right, like
it would spike up and then go to a flat line.
On the Doug podcast, you got to do like an alcohol. So, Mooch, I got to pull you up, man. Before you said that, like you go out in town and spend $80. We spend $80 before we leave the house, man.
That's what I'm saying. You bought a Scorpio before you even get to buy a pack of smokes. That's I mean. It's mind-boggling, isn't it? How everybody deems a dollar differently, so it's hard to tell somebody how to spend their money. But it really is something when you do it. If you break down from Friday when you leave your job till Monday morning when you return to your job, just every dollar you spent, you've probably bought 2 Scorpios. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's true. Like even with games, I've got 10 hours out of a game. $10 an hour. It's probably a bit much, actually. Don't worry, I'll retract that comment.
Right,
but yeah,
no, it's on the internet, man. Now it's digital.
It's all right. We do disclaimers every next episode. I'll just do a disclaimer like we do every week.
And isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that the Scorpio's been revealed? Everybody out there has a PC that's capable of playing Scorpio games.
1% of gamers, isn't it? Isn't it 1% of PCs aren't as powerful? Oh no, 95% of PCs aren't as powerful as the Scorpio. That's what I think. Timodos bought that up.
It's funny how but 100% of people will claim they've got a PC that'll play, so there's no use to buy one. What a load of shit that is.
Def Jam Bam, we've got Delilah in the chat. What's happening?
Oh yeah.
See, Def Jam Bam just woke up.
he just got over kicking my ass on fucking Mortal Kombat.
Did his soundbar wake him up?
Bam doesn't. What's good, Def Jam? What Bam doesn't realize is this is the only podcast where I started eating breakfast, and when we're done, I'll be eating lunch.
This always happens.
What is the
every time?
Anyway? How long have we been going?
Man, this happens.
It's been a long one.
Like we've got Lady Foxfire. Every time we're about to shut down, everyone starts joining. This is a problem. I absolutely hate this time zone thing, man. Like this, it's not good for gamers. Is it really?
It is rough.
Yeah, we need to get rid of time zones.
I need to be unemployed, and then I could be like podcasting when you guys are awake. So I'll lose my job.
All right, cool.
Alrighty, well, thanks, Mooch, for dropping in, man, so early, and offering to come on the show, man. That was really cool.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it, guys. Like, to be honest with you, I seen that you guys were doing this, and it really was just the old time thing. But I got news for you. Saturday mornings are always doable. So yeah, I look forward to. You ever want to have me back on? I'm not afraid to talk. So we'll do something. I appreciate it.
We always leave open invitation, man. So like it's because we don't like hassling people, So like if you want to come back on, just let us know. I've got a free Saturday, and like same with you, Scratch. Obviously.
I exercised that right.
You exercised that right, definitely.
He did. It was good.
So,
we get
daylight savings changes soon, so that's like in November or whatever. Yeah. That can make things a bit ugly. So your clocks go forward, and ours goes back, and it's like all of a sudden 8:30 turns into 6:30 in the morning. So, but yeah, Anyway,
well, thanks, fellas. Thanks for coming on.
and thanks, Scratch.
Yeah. Cheers.
Absolutely.
And thanks to the chat. Thanks to everyone listening back during the week. We might be doing this on Beam, so like we might not do a live stream on YouTube anymore. We're thinking about it. So follow my Beam stream channel in the description below. Also got Mooch, and anyone who doesn't know Mooch and Scratch, all their links are below. Scratch, YouTube, Beam, everything. Same with Mooch. So sub them. We've got to get Mooch to 5,000. That's the key.
Yeah. 5,000, I can retire. It would be great.
Hang the jersey up.
Yeah, got our Discord there. We've got some pretty cool people in that Discord as well. We've got like Inferno, GKB, they're in there. So yeah, join the Scratch. So they're all in there. So yeah, join that Discord. It's pretty fun. A little bit different to Twitter, so a little bit more personalized. What else? I'll shout out to the Patreon as well, because we've got a couple of people donating. Siberia and Chris Hughes, they're donating there a couple of bucks a week. But yeah, any money that gets raised in there, we're going to match it dollar for dollar, and we're going to do our first $100 giveaway. So we're going to use that to try to promote the podcast. So don't donate too much, because it's going to cost us money.
Be two Scorpios.
Yeah, we want to give a Scorpio away. That's what we're planning for, but I don't think it's going to happen. But man, it's just something. I feel like I got to mention it because I got Siberia and Chris Hughes donating, so I wouldn't be doing the right thing by then if I didn't mention it. So shout out to chat, Prophet. Mooch, man, can you just give a shout out to Prophet? He's asked for a shout out.
Oh, my bad. I apologize. That's one of my faults in podcasting is I'm usually not paying attention to the chat as much as everybody else. So definitely shout out to Prophet. What's up, brother? Yeah, I honest to God, I don't always keep track of the chat. I'm like, I keep track of Twitter. Well, because think about it. It even happened on today's show, right? So I think Stickler Mega was like, guys, like Mooch, his logo's up on Twitter thanks to Graphic God. And I'm like, what? I got to go. So I'm like, what happened? So I'm not really good at that. So no, shout out to Prophet. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you following me around the world on this. I am on the Mooch World Tour, literally world tour. I'm in Australia. I am flying back to New York. Me and Crap are doing our Patreon exclusive show today, and then we're also getting a couple of bits ready for MNC Mornings tomorrow. So yeah, man, the Mooch World Tour doesn't end till Monday morning. I'm glad my wife's okay with it.
All the maniacs are going with him.
Yeah. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? They're all right behind me.
All those planes. Yeah, we saw the GIF. It was funny.
That was great, by the way.
Yeah. I was just going to say quickly, Iceman still does. He's throwing out tweets like he doesn't know how to play. He doesn't know how to play Mortal Kombat. Like, check it out, man. Like, he's got this guy going down the escalator and he falls over. He goes, "This is me playing. I'm ready." So this is going to be a hell of a fight, man. We're going to watch that at 7 a.m. in the UK. I think it's like midday or whatever in the United States. But yeah, no, sorry, 7 a.m. in Australia. But yeah, it's so funny. This Iceman, he just keeps throwing out these tweets and comments like he doesn't know how to play the game. He's got 1,500 gamer score, which is all you can get.
It's maxed out, yeah.
It's maxed out. So, he's like, I don't know how to play, man. He's like, tournament? Like, yeah, man, no worries. He's gonna fucking. There's no prize or anything. Actually, there is a prize. You get to be a Doug. Guest.
Get to be the winner.
Yeah, the winner gets to be a guest on the show.
Yeah, bragging rights. Yeah,
bragging rights, definitely, man.
Well, I'll try and watch that. But it is Mother's Day now in the morning in Australia.
It's Mother's Day.
I will be cooking. I will be cooking. I will be cooking the wife breakfast for bed. So I'll be probably doing that around 7 o'clock.
What else should we doing?
I'll be thinking of those guys. The kids will be up, so there'll be nothing of that going on. So, as all us fathers can attest to.
Yeah, true. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. In Australia, it's Mother's Day, so yeah. Well, with that, I probably should.
Well, thanks, fellas.
Yeah. Thanks to chat. I hate leaving the chat so active. Kills me every time. Okay, Dougie's got something he wants to say before we go.
Shout out to the chat and everyone listening. Don't forget, join our Discord and chat with some popular Xbox people. The link is in the description below. YouTube, we are out.